This is a guard intern job. This is not. This is not even a staff position.
Yeah.
This is the Imperial Scrolls of Honor podcast. I'm Josh Folan.
And I'm Jay Baxtron.
And I'm Jeff Burns.
And we are going to be bullshitting about the 400 years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. We are pressing onward toward the horizon, dear adventure, on an RPG side quest with this pod, where we incrementally fiddle with an old school RPG, start to finish, with the assistance of old game literature. Our questing crosshairs hover over the evil Hargon, who is terrorizing the lands of Moonbrook, Maidenhall, and Cannock, and the lands of Enix's 1990 release of Dragon Warrior 2 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. The accompanying literatures of antiquity for us on this undertaking are the 52-page pack-in instruction manual and the Unveiled Secrets of Dragon Warrior 2, a 30-page tome published by Enix. The link to a PDF of both those will be in the show notes for the duration of the quest. Emulation disclosure, so you know the tools with which we are undertaking our quest to defeat Hargon. Jay, how are you playing?
I'm playing through, emulating through NES Topia on my PC with the standard NES controller piped in through USB.
Jab.
Same NES Topia, but I'm using the keyboard.
I am playing on my Abernic 351MP handheld emulator, and I'm loving being able to quest whenever and wherever I please. On the shitter, in bed, watching the Bills destroy the cheating Patriots, what have you. Important and fun milestone note for this installment of ISOH, this is the 100th episode the three of us have combined for, and that is a cumulative total. That is main quest episodes, all of them, side quests, Order of Erdrick interviews, instruction manuals, the whole shkabo.
Wow.
And yeah, I think it's cool to me that it's landing on a side quest with all three of us, so I thought it was worth mentioning.
Let's go.
Very cool, actually.
Yeah. Please rate and review the pod. If you enjoy any of the shit we've done in those 100 episodes, it really helps and makes us feel good. We pick up with our heroes, I guess, at this point, in Leftwyn, where we just dapped up our cousin, the Prince of Cannock, for the first time, and started swapping Hargon toppling ideas. After getting my accoutrement in order, I set out for the monolith to the west, and there the guards have changed their tune significantly from being difficult to a short and simple, please go through. Did you guys do any dicking around before you headed? I mean, I assume not. Jay, you were already talking about heading down there, and Jab, you know where to go.
Yeah.
Onward ho.
Right. So at the monolith is a bit of a shithead. There's too long the guards let you through. There's a staircase in the back, and downstairs there's two long tunnels south to choose from, and one's off screen, the other one's on screen, and that's interesting. Have we talked about that at all too? That's a new mechanic that we have not mentioned.
No, I think we did mention it, that I was saying, I kind of missed the idea of having to light the dungeon, but they kept the mechanic essentially
by doing that, right?
By just blacking some out, so yeah.
Right, yeah. Anyways, the enemies down here are of the lake cave tier. It's cobras, big rats, etc. So we've seen all this shit before. The path to the west, the one that's off screen, takes you to a stairwell up to the small island you can see just west from the monolith on the overall map, and that's just a dead end. And the other, that is on screen, takes you to where you want to go, the peninsula across the channel to the south of the monolith. And I thought, going through here, it occurred to me, should we maybe discuss the engineering marvel of a subterranean tunnel being excavated beneath a large river and it being responsibly supported to a point where it can be safe, unchaperoned, or can be used for safe, unchaperoned travel beneath a major waterway. Like that, in this era of engineering, of when this game is supposedly taking place, is quite the accomplishment.
That's not a river. That's an inland sea. That's like building a tunnel from Greece to Crete and just being like, yeah, we did that in 1100. No big deal.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Yeah, you have to, I guess, maybe ask the question, or the question weighs on me as to whether it was science or arcane. I don't know, arcanely fueled construction project.
I was gonna say in a world with so much magic and stuff, like who knows what was possible? You know?
Right.
Got to go arcane. I'm assuming they have plenty of serfs though to also dig the hole.
Right,
So.
precisely. Yeah, the actual the physical removal, very doable. The support structure to make it safely. Yeah, the maintenance, right? Yeah,
All seems astounding.
Yeah, all seems like it requires a little extra than a little more beyond their means at the time, from a purely scientific perspective.
You know, there's those salt mines underneath Lake Erie.
I did not know that, actually.
Yeah, there's salt mines under Lake Erie that, like, you know, they dig under and they like dig shit out of there, and you know the lake is above them. Like there's workers under there right now.
I also wouldn't presume that there was an abundance of salt to be found beneath fresh water. That's also. I
think it's salt. I mean, it could be like, you know, I mean, the Earth has moved so much over the billions of years that this could have been.
Sure.
Yeah. Salt.
It probably. Well, it absolutely was. If the Pangea map, I believe, I'm sure that it was all. You know, there were no inland seas at one point. Isn't that how? I can't remember exactly.
There might have been like one or here or there, but there's just one big sea and one big land.
Right.
There's a fucking. I just found that thing. I meant to check it out, but then I just ADHD'd away. There's that thing where you can find where your house was on Pangea.
Oh no, I've never heard.
I really got to look that up.
That's pretty fun. I wonder if it looks just like that Lego shot or that Google Earth shot we have.
Dude, you still have that?
I do still have it.
Did you post it?
I'm sure I posted it.
It's a little revelatory for us also, but we're kind of doxing ourselves. But yeah, like I remember I got that screenshot and I thought like it was just going to be an option they kept forever, and they got rid of it and never came back, and I was so thankful I went through the trouble to get that screenshot.
Yeah, for sure. Do you remember that, Jay? When it was like, what did they call it? Just Lego? Like, what was the?
It wasn't Lego. It was like
pixel art or something. Yeah,
but I think it was alluding to NES. And why do I feel like it was even alluding to like Dragon Warrior? Like I feel like if you zoomed out from the fucking thing and you like looked at like Ohio from space, I feel like, you know, Route 90 was like a Dragon Warrior road. I could be romanticizing this, but
yeah, I think you are. Yeah, I think you had too many weed gummies this morning or something. That's
never during the day. Never during the day.
Oh, man, I don't remember that at all.
I have principles.
Neither do I.
Yeah, but it is cool. Do you remember that, Jay? When Google Earth, it was like just a day or two or something where they did like it looked like pixel art. It was like a.
I don't think I recall that. I think I must have missed that one.
The street view. It was pretty cool. Pretty fun thing.
I'm gonna try
I'll try to dig out the picture I have of our childhood home together so everyone can see it in 8-bit goodness. The first underwater tunnel built in the U.S. was the Holland Tunnel, guys, connecting Jersey to Manhattan, and that didn't open until 1927. Just to give you some perspective on.
And they had no magic. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Right. They had no magic. Especially in New York, those motherfuckers.
Yeah. That's a huge missing thing when you're trying to build it. If you have magic, you're doing a lot better than most people.
Right.
Are they still doing the Big Dig in Boston?
I don't know what
was
that is.
Was that completed by now? Because they were talking about
I think I heard about it in like the early 2000s, but people were like, yeah, but it's Boston. They're never going to finish anything. And there's a joke
by now.
There's a joke in Fallout 4 that alludes to it. Like, you have to go and, like, dig through to, like, somewhere else, and the mission is called the Big Dig. So, like, the point being is, like, even in 2270-something, like, it's still not done.
What the fuck are they digging?
I think it's like a fucking, like, metro tunnel or something.
It's completed. Completed.
Is it? Okay. Go Boston. For all our Boston fans.
Had to go, guys.
Okay, well, back to Dragon Warrior 2. Once you get on the other side of this channel, the first thing you're going to encounter, it's a short buzz down past a large circular mountain range, is a town nestled in a thick forest. This is Hamlin. And it looks a little more rural and disorganized than Leftwind did, but pretty similar as far as just the feel of it, I guess. Townsfolk chatter in here. The girl nearest the entrance says, ghosts may wander this world under moon or sun, and at times they may even be recalled.
I don't know what that means. Do you?
There's a lot going on there.
It means when this shitty dude that you just got gets whacked, the House of Healing's over there. That's what it means.
Oh. I don't die, so.
I did. We'll talk about it later. The blue dude in the center of town says, here in Hamlin, not all is as it seems. And this has me wondering, and I guess this is a question specifically for Jab, is there something else besides the one doozy?
I don't know. I will say there's that door, and I can't remember. I mean, it's obvious what happens. You get across, but
I don't know what that dude's about. Yeah,
I don't know what he talks about. So I was wondering that myself, and the only thing I could think was across, under that, once again, the tunnel. Oh, look at that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I guess if there's not, I question how this cat would have any clue about the one thing.
Right. And then if he does know, then why isn't he telling me?
Right. Yeah. Why is he telling me? Why isn't he helping? Why isn't he doing something? Why is the dog just loose?
Right. Hey, I don't mean to be a dick or anything, but the fate of the world is at stake here.
Right. You could put in a little effort, homeboy.
I'm out there getting my ass kicked by zombies and big rats. Maybe a little effort on your part.
Yeah, would be nice. There's another dude that says, talk to everyone, for appearances may not reflect the true person, and that sounds straight up shady.
I mean, all three of those comments together, ghost, everything's not as appear as it seems, all this. I'm all right, I'm
going back to Midenhall. Fuck this.
Stuff what's happening here?
Yeah, I'm out of here. This place fucked.
These guys actually are really not all that friendly. Everyone seems to know about this, but nobody wants to just give you the lowdown.
Right. Which, that is a really nice role play vibe thing that, you get to this place, you're a little further from kind of the home base, people don't know who you are, and some shit's gone pretty wrong lately, so everyone would be a little side-eye, and that's actually kind of a nice...
I mean, Hamlin could be under the control of either, it could be under the feudal purview of one of the castles that we've hit lately, either probably be Moonbrook, and maybe Moonbrook and, sure, maybe Moonbrook and Midenhall didn't get along all that well.
And also, just Moonbrook obviously has went really south in recent times. So
yeah. So they're
the guidance would be gone. The guidance would be now absent, and
their center of security is gone. And now maybe a rival kingdom's heir shows up, and they're just it's weird here, man. Anyways,
yeah.
Not that you were helping. Moonbrook just got burned down. I'm glad you were fucking around with slimes, but we're busy.
Right. A barbarian who is surprisingly not lit on mead says, some say that there is a tall tower, and in it a brave adventurer may find the cloak of wind. It can save thee if thou falls from a great height. And Todd is scared of heights, so that sounds like a really appealing item, barbarian. The guard patrolling the shopping center says, southwest of this village lies the castle of Moonbrook. Copy that, peep game, or we will peep game. There's a gambling enthusiast just north of those shops that inquires, dost thou have a lottery ticket? If you answer yes, he says, the lottery is but a game. Do not take it too seriously. And for no, he replies, some merchants give out lottery tickets for free. And this fucking guy sounds like a gambling lobbyist. Fuck this guy.
Right? Dude, you should hear the fucking radio in Ohio right now.
Oh, God, the new kiss. Yeah, I bet.
Gambling just got legalized here. And
dude, it's so bad, dude.
It's fucking terrible. They will, every commercial is join sports app and get $200 of free bets and blah. It's just a nightmare.
I hate it so much. I cannot sit and watch fucking football, and I just cannot fucking believe that every commercial, or at worst, no exaggeration, every other, is a fucking gambling commercial. And it's I don't give a fuck if you can do it now or not. How the fuck are you just getting on here and a super large subset of your fucking demographic, your target demographic with this television program is underage fucking teenage dudes who are all morons, every one of them.
And John, you know how this works. You know how commerce works. That's the perfect demographic.
Right, exactly. Yeah, fucking
the dumber, the better. Sorry to anybody that gambles, but it's not a good
Holy shit. Yeah, holy shit. It's so bad. Yeah. Every fucking commercial on the radio, every fucking, again, fucking the WGR. So a 4-hour afternoon radio show. I am not exaggerating. At least 1 hour of it is composed now of, because again, New York's pretty new too. And not, so every fucking, at least one of the 4 hours is dedicated to guest.
Oh God!
Quotation to know.
About it?
Well, they Trey Wingo for fucking whatever fucking asshole Caesars or something he works for now, and then they'll have some fucking dickhead chick that's from fucking BetMGM or some shit, and it's just like, oh, it's so fucking bad. And they're just, they're talking about gambling exclusively. They try to pretend to know shit about sports too, so it feels, it's like the fucking it's like the goddamn the fucking GamePro ads that are like, they act like they're trying to make it look like a fucking magazine feature, but it's just it's just a paid advertisement. Yeah, I can see through your fucking ruse, man.
Get your fucking hand out of my pocket.
Yeah, it's so bad. Oh god, I hate it so much. Ugh. And this is what getting old feels like. You'll
get bitter too.
Yeah. There's a dog here that gives us a woof woof near the old man lurking outside the HOH. And this old man says, even here thou can record thy deeds on the Imperial Scrolls of Honor. And then he does the whole song and dance the Kings of Maidenhall and Cannock do. And that's kind of fun.
I have something to say about that. I remember in Dragon Warrior 1, you could only do that at castles.
You can only do it at the one castle.
At the one castle.
Only save at the one castle?
Yeah.
Holy shit. So I remember like getting to this town for the first time and then being like, and then talking to that dude and being like, oh shit, I can even save here. Like I can picture myself in my room where my TV was against that would be the south wall.
Where I slammed the NES Advantage into the wall a million times.
Did you do that? Okay.
You don't remember? You don't remember? I covered that wall by the window in fucking dents with. We were like covering it up forever because we didn't want MIK to find it.
Those little triangle dents.
Yeah.
Would you take the fucking thing and like two-hand it into the wall?
I don't remember the actual. I would definitely fucking ram that fucking NES Advantage, which is like a steel ass fucking bottom, into the fucking shitty little thin drywall he had hung on those walls.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was shitty thin. For all our listeners, it actually was shitty thin drywall. Me and Josh put a hole in the wall once playing basketball. It sounds bad, but it wasn't that bad.
Well, that was like, I think it was like David Camargo or someone was.
No, it might have been my buddy Mike. Michael.
Yeah, yes, it was someone. Yeah, one of our friends did it, and that made it even worse. We were like, "Oh, we can't, dude. We cannot put this on."
It was big. It was big. Yes. I mean, I understand why he was mad, but counterpoint. Now, as a man who like has a home and like has done construction and knows things, like he put a piece of fucking 3/8 drywall up. I mean, maybe he didn't, but he bought the house. It's one piece of 3/8 drywall. It really should be two. For 3/4 of an inch. I mean, that's not. Yeah. Sorry, Mike. I mean, it should be fucking stronger than that.
His bitch would always be. I remember it was always because he had like when he did fix them, it was always just a buddy that came over and did it for him.
Right.
And so like he wouldn't even buy materials, if even that. Maybe the guy probably stole materials from the place they worked. Right. But anyways, there very little cost to it. So. And I think we knew that there was some dynamic where he had to explain that or rationalize it, why it was still a huge deal. And it was always the paint matching. Getting the paint to match was like a big thing. I remember him like trying to sell as the reason it was like such a catastrophe that like, we can't make the paint match, man.
Oh my God, shut the fuck up.
MIK always with the fucking crises.
And then he just, of course, paints over it, like it. What a fucking asshole.
Anyways, wasn't there a point you were in midstream on?
I think that was it. Was just like I was surprised that you could save, at a town. Like maybe I was kind of amazed that or maybe it like occurred to me like, okay, I can save at the other castle, Maidenhall or whatever the other one was, Cannock. And then I got to a town and I was like, oh shit, you can save here too.
So just the significance of taking in and letting it wash over you as a child, the progress of technology and video gaming.
Yeah, or just the consideration the designers had made, just like. I don't have to go back to that one castle to save, which actually thinking about that now is because I didn't even have to do that when we played it, us three. I just hit fucking save state and it was done. That's actually
But crazy. Also the map was so much smaller too.
It was.
The dog that's near this little save point dude joins your party line after you interact with it, and that's at least until you split town. And I think that's super cute that it follows you around.
I definitely was like, why is this dog following me? There's something special about the dog. Like I was trying to like talk to it and stuff. I was like, what is going on? Like, I got to come back to this.
Yeah, that's my next question was going to be, how when did you have inklings? I guess maybe is the question that should be asked prior to having it explained to you.
Oh yeah. I try to talk to everyone and use every single item on everything. So I'm always like searching and talking. And so the minute clearly I've talked to other dogs in the other towns. So the minute this dog started following me, I was like, okay, zeroing in,
Okay. That's such a beautiful thing to hear, that like, because it's obvious. Well, I guess they say it pretty explicitly at one point or another in the castle. I can't remember the exact dialogue. I mean, they definitely, obviously it's said that it's that she's become a dog, and I can't remember if they say it's in Hamlin or not. I don't think so. Either way, like that, there's no question that even if they had, like I said, kids don't read shit and they don't process it, even if they do. So there's no question that there's some level at the developer level, or some time spent by the developers trying to figure out ways to make that dog significant and give you a hint without slamming you over the head with it, at least initially. I mean, eventually the flow chart for this is probably they eventually have to slam you over the head with it, because kids, again, are morons. So like, the dumber kids are gonna, unless we really feed it to them, are gonna have a hard time. But we want the kids who are really enjoying the story and capable of fucking, solving some problems, to have it just breadcrumb to them a little bit, So like, they're trying to find the middle ground between those two things, and how to put it in the game flow is probably something they spent a lot of time on. I bet, So it's cool to hear it, consumed as such. On the commerce tip, we have the aforementioned HOH, an inn charging 12 gold a head, and a standalone lottery booth, and then both a tool and blacksmith in the shopping center. And I really enjoy that it's under the same roof, that they've like built this mall on the southeast side of town, for all the commerce to take place in. And and also that the gambling dickhead couldn't get a booth there, that he's got to do his little shitty shop over at the in the hood.
Right. Honest business only here, sir.
Right, yeah. I'm going to need to see your Better Business Bureau fucking certificate or whatever if you want to get a booth here at the fucking...
It looks like you got a shitty plot of land, too. It's like covered, it's surrounded by like desert shit.
Right. That's what I mean.
The other one's covered by greenery.
Over in the hood, yeah, for sure.
It like forms like part of a city wall, it looks like. Yeah, like he got a shitty plot. But you know what it was? Gambling got legalized later.
Right. Yeah. Just coming. Yeah, he's just getting his getting his feet wet with the new legislation that allows him to really,
Once he makes some profits, he's gonna build a better place. Don't worry.
Yeah, he was running out of the back of the bar,
right,
a few weeks ago.
This is actually a great improvement.
Yeah. So the tool shop has both herbs, the Wing of Wyvern, and fairy water, and the weapon and armor shop has the previously seen chain, sickle, and mail here, and then a bunch of new hot shit that they have on racks. And the one is the iron spear at 770. There's the broadsword at 1500, full plate armor at 1000, and a steel shield at 2000. So there are some supple grinding goals in there for sure.
I'm role playing the broadsword as a Roman gladius.
Okay. Where would Roman influence work its way into Torland here? Torland.
Not necessarily. That would have been, the gladius would have been outdated at that point. But, that's...
Well, did you just put this world in a Earth, our universe timeline?
I mean, we've been doing it. We were talking about like, building tunnels under things.
Sure.
Sure. Like, the technology at the time. So I'm just role playing that it's more like a gladius, not just like in my mind I'm trying to picture these things as like you go to the shop and it's not like they have like 20 broadswords that are all exactly the same. It's like there are different swords that function essentially as broadswords for damage purposes.
This weapon and armor shop would have a terrible marketing department were that the case. That they didn't have any customization options or any ability to feel personalized in your purchase.
I'm sorry that transistor technology in 1990 wasn't up to your standards and they could do all that. You can play Skyrim if you'd like.
No, I'm saying the actual marketing department of this weapon and armor shop in the story. If they are not encouraging the manufacturing department to produce a multiple lines of swords, what I mean? It would be that would be really bad, I think, management, because you would want the purchaser to walk into the store and feel like, oh, this one was made for me.
I have a selection, right?
Yeah, you're going to need some diversification for that to be the case.
Well, like different size people, different strengths and whatnot. The pommel would be a different size, the blade length, etc.
Even colors, anything.
Anything, sure. And also you have to keep in mind, like, there's a war going on. There's a war going on. So
well,
like a lot
maybe Gentle Ma is not, but Todd is for sure. Todd wants to floss out here on the countryside.
Gentle Ma.
Yeah, on the battlefields, all right.
Yeah.
But a lot of this is picked up off of corpses from the battlefield, too, that's, like, rehabilitated, so.
That's true enough. Heading out of Hamlin, there is a bridge over a small creek to the south, and from there it's a hop, skip, and a jump through some forest and plain terrain to the castle we recognize from the prologue, Moonbrook. This place is an absolute fucking wreck, as you might imagine if you have experienced the gut-wrenching drama of our performances from my screenplay adaptation of the prologue for the game that we put in the last episode. It's kind of reminiscent, Jab, of the state of the town of Hawksness in Dragon Warrior 1. That's what I thought of.
Yeah, I appreciate same thing, and I appreciated they brought it back.
Yep. A lot of sand tiles peppered into broken paths, marsh tiles everywhere, etc. They have, and this Dragon Warrior 2 has a new, like, this is fucked up floor tile in that, like, whatever those, like, they look like little assholes.
If you think of it that way.
Right. But those were not present in the first game. So in my mind, were they in the art offering in the code of Dragon Warrior 1, they would have also been in Hawksness.
Yes, absolutely.
And as there should be, this castle is patrolled by enemies, and it's the same shit as in the nearby countryside. Zombies, lizard flies, even metal slimes I encountered a time or two in here. And there are balls of fire roaming the halls in movement patterns and pacing very like that of villagers, enticing you to interact with them and bringing us to Townsfire Chatter Time. And an eerie flame in a northern hall says, the Mirror of Ra was lost long ago in a swamp southeast of Hamlin in the place where 4 bridges can be seen. And
hot tip.
Oh my god, it's just such good hint and design choice. Mm-hmm. I remember this clue having my little beady 10-year-old eyes scanning the screen like a meth head at all times, looking for where this might be, And yeah, it's just such a good clue, and it's so good. So good.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel like, not that I remember, I just feel like you can picture yourself, like, moving around, like, there's 4 bridges on the screen? Okay, cool, I'll search here.
Yeah. And that's, and like, even once you think you found it, you don't know exactly where you're searching. So, like, one's kind of clipped off, searching here, maybe, whatever, it's really
When I started
fun.
this process, I actually thought that it was one particular tile that you could, like, and then in that one moment you could see the 4 bridges, and then once I got to the area, it occurred to me that, like, no, there's several, screen orientations where you can see 4 bridges, so you'll have to search several tiles.
Yeah.
So, good work on them.
Really? I don't... It was a little more straightforward for me, because I just kind of went over there and was like, all right, there's 4 squares in this swamp. Out of all of this, like,
if as an adult, yes,
it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's that we'll talk about when we get to that part as far as the drawing your eyes to something, game design, yada yada yada. But as far as just like trying to find that area, especially if you don't stumble into it right away. Looking around for trying to find 4 bridges, like, they don't tell you it's even on this continent. Maybe you go back to, how far am I going here? You could be scanning the whole fucking map that you have access to right now, trying to find these 4 bridges before you find the spot. And especially because, when you, if you go that route that's to the tower, you're going down that coast and there's all those bridges. And even if you find the 4, you can't get to the one side. Like, there's it's split up.
Yeah, mountain range cuts it off.
Yeah, well, no, the rivers, all the tributaries, you can only get, like, 2 of the bridges are on one side down here by where the mirror's at, and the other 2
you gotta take that
up.
northern path.
Yep. So, I think it's pretty well done.
Good stuff.
Yep. Another ball of fire in the throne room says, "Woe is me, for I am the unhappy ghost of the king of Moonbrook. To make matters worse, my daughter has been cursed and transformed into a common mutt. I am burning with shame." And this is suggesting if she had been turned into a purebred dog, perhaps a pug, he would not be bummed about it.
But because she's a mutt, it's all bad.
Hey, I'm not picking on you, but they shouldn't be proud of pugs either. Those things are terribly bred, and it's fucked up.
No, they're fantastic. They're the most.
They can't breathe, man.
Everyone says that. I've had 3 of them. I've been around millions of them. No, they can breathe fine.
Well, I got vibes from this king in his throne room. I got Gustavus Adolphus II vibes, who was killed on the battlefield during the 30 Years' War, and he was shot off his horse. He got like disoriented in like a cavalry charge, and then he got like separated from his boys, and then the enemies saw him and they shot him in the back, and he fell off his horse, and they came up and like whipped his ass or something, or maybe even like fucked with him more. And then they were like, "Who are you?" And he was like, "I used to be the king of Sweden." And then they put a gun to his head and killed him. Dang. So got very I used to be the king of Sweden vibes in this room.
Okay. Well, most importantly, this confirms these flames are ghosts of the castle inhabitants, and that is so fucking cool.
It was cool to see the king, actually. Like, when I looked into the throne room and I saw that, I guess it's obvious that they're ghosts, and I was like, that better be the king.
Yeah. Yeah, I give them a firm ass pat for choosing flames instead of ghost avatars here, too. You know, that's a...
It would have been too on the nose.
Yep,
right.
Agreed.
And they have the ghost avatar. They could have
right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say though. Those ghost avatars though are they're not like this is supposed to be a very somber, bummer, serious moment in within the spectrum of what it could be in this game, and I think those ghost avatars do not give the same vibe. So that was a good choice. Yeah. Also important here. Are you probably looking for a fucking dog now? And yeah, is this Jay? Were you immediately here like, okay, that's got to be it for sure? Especially considering you perceived the significance and spent time trying to sort it out initially. This had to be like, oh fuck, okay, that's what I got to do.
Got to be that.
Yeah, I mean, there was no doubt, but it's funny in the turn of events, I actually found her, transformed her, and then came here. I came here like 3 times. So, like, I came here the first time and didn't talk to the king. Like, I talked to the flames, and I was like, oh, they're people. But, like, for whatever reason, I didn't make it to the king. And so I went off, and I was like, okay, so if these flames are people, you know, I was kind of like, maybe. So I went, searched, did all the stuff, found the thing, went and transformed it. Like, I used the items, ended up transferring, and then came back here again when I was, like, searching around, like, okay, I feel like I'm missing stuff. And so when I came back through again, I was able to actually talk to the king, and I was like, well, I wonder if I came here, figured it out. It would have been more straightforward. But
right. Yeah, it's probably not hard to miss that throne room because I think it's just the one thing.
Yeah, it was like off the beaten. Like I was like, oh.
Well, there's just, those tiles, it's such a fucking, just a mosaic of different tiles that like a little black one in the wall doesn't really, which is why that other route to get down into the basement to talk to that guy is also well hidden,
I had to come back again. I was like, I have no idea how to get there. But to your point earlier about Harksness or whatever the place in Dragon Warrior 1, I thought it was going to be a much worse place. So I'm like, I'm not venturing any farther. Like I've already established what I need to out of this place. I'm not sure what's deeper here. So I didn't really even go deep. So there was a couple reasons, but
okay. Word.
Did the king say anything when you brought his now retransformed daughter into the room?
He did. So, like, the same dialogue happened, like, oh, my daughter's been turned into mud. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's you. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, oh, my daughter, blah, blah, blah. It was like a little reunion thing. I was like, oh, this is great.
Nice.
Did
you control for that, Josh? You didn't fence test that?
No, I did. Oh, yeah. There is a slight little dialogue change. It's not out of... Well, he does say something new, too. But it's only because... No, I have the dialogue. It's because the princess realizes it's him that there's additional dialogue. It's not he doesn't necessarily have
the revelation.
There's something there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're talking about why wait. If you go back to him once you have her, he says, like, he does, that exact same song and dance. And then, so she's with you the whole time he's doing that same, like, I hated this, actually. This bothered me a lot. So he says that same exact dialogue. There's no change, even though she's right there with you, and you could obviously be recognized. And then she says, Peeta cried, or, mine's named Peeta, we'll talk about that later, too. Father, is it really thee in the flames? And the flame replied, alas, it is I. It is Hargon's way of firing those he doesn't need. And I can't fucking believe they went pun there. I almost lost my goddamn mind. I fucking hate it so much. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's so bad.
Look, I was just confused. Like, what? What do you mean?
Sucks.
Because the worst part is you almost wonder if it's like a translation error.
Well, I hope so.
Right?
And here's the thing, dude. So one of the Lord disciples, before I came back here, it might have been why I came back here to talk to him again. I hadn't even thought of it yet. I posted, I think it was just something like the dog in the village or something. And one of the Lord disciples said that he basically talked about, like, he was like quoting what the king says when you go back. And he was saying it like, it fucking broke his fucking heart, that he had some, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something really sad about, that he couldn't see or something. I think he can't, so I'm thinking, my point of this being that I think the original version, the Dragon Quest version, has some kind of different dialogue here that is much sadder and much more fucked up, that he can't, like, he doesn't have the ability to, basically that he can't, in some way or another, can't actually experience this reuniting with reunion with his daughter, because he can't see her or hear, like, he can't see and hear, I think maybe is what it is.
He can't perceive, really.
Right. So it's like like the guy was saying, it was like a really heart-wrenching moment, and I was like, okay, so I go here and expecting to have that moment. And he says this dumb shit instead. I was like,
because that one sounds really good, actually.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I was fucking stoked that anytime these games have that development of, the sprites changing and acknowledging you, time passing and story progressing, like that's, yes, it's not by any length a commonality of this era of gaming, and I appreciated a great deal that they would go to the lengths required in a very limited amount of code to make that a reality in a story like this. Right. And it was a bummer that it wasn't that. In this case.
I kind of took it because I took a screenshot. I knew I did because I was like, this is significant, and I remember thinking it was more like literal, where he was kind of just like, guess what, you were the king here, now you're not, you're fired, and just like, you know what I mean? So I guess I didn't really take it like punny. It was kind of just like, all right, because I guess I didn't really like their flames, but like, I don't know. It's a weird, it didn't really hit me the same way, I guess.
Such a bad pun that it didn't even land on you.
Yeah, it was just like, okay.
That's the worst kind of pun.
Right, yeah. I guess, I don't know. Ignorance is bliss. Yep. So there's another one last flame up here in the southern dead end, and it is freaking the fuck out. Despite the whole despite the whole already being dead thing. It's like,
he's had a lot of time to be with this. He's had a lot of time to get comfortable with this new condition.
Yeah, it is not there yet. Help! Hargon is coming to destroy us all. Like, dude, you don't got to worry about shit. Don't worry about it. You are. Fucking chill the fuck out. So near that first flame with the bridges, clue, there are a couple chests that have already been pillaged and are empty, and I think that's really neat and cool. Like, the treasury has been long, ransacked would be a good word for that.
I literally saw those, and I was like, "Oh, cool, treasure chest. They better be empty."
Yeah. And they are. You have to have a channel your stones of sunlight problem-solving moxie situation to get to the bridge courtyard area where you saw the king get slain in the prologue. And you have to, yes, what we were just talking about, where you walk out the fallen castle walls in the northwest corner, walk through that, it's all swamp tiles outside, all the way down to the southwest tower, and then back inside. And the stairs, and there's a little path to that courtyard, and the stairs down here take you to a shockingly still kicking guard cowering in a swamp-infested corner of a small basement. And he says, the princess has been transformed by a curse. Only the mirror of Ra can break the spell For in that glass one sees her true self. So Homeboy is hanging out down here to put the last piece of the princess whereabouts puzzle together for you. What a Samaritan. And this is basically an exact embodiment of that last really spoon feed it. Like, did you even find this guy, Jay? I guess really is.
No, I'm like, this sounds like new to me.
Right.
Like,
Most people aren't going to have
do
found
this, in fact.
Yeah. So most people aren't. As I said, it's so out of the way. And the second you step outside, it's fucking swamp. We've talked about how prohibitive that feels. Even though it's plenty of HP to make it over there. There's a lot of reasons why most people aren't going to find this thing. But
and I love also. I'll jump in real quick. I love the imagery that they get to use there. Like, and again, like, when you're a kid, you don't know how to do this, and like, I can kind of do it now. But like, this guy's in a dungeon, and like when you go down to that dungeon, it's like lit. The colors are all the same because there's limited tile graphic options. But like, you got to picture this as like a castle dungeon where they keep criminals, and like castle dungeons are fucking ugly and dark and quiet. And, like, it's entirely plausible this guy could have, like, hid away from monsters down there and just, like, stayed out of the way and tried to survive.
Yep.
So, yeah, I appreciated that.
Eating fucking God knows what.
Cats and probably prisoners, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point, because if he survived, you have to assume that most of the prisoners survived. You see any prisoners down there?
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Yep. So back outside, there is a dead-end area east of the castle, so it's not terribly far that you have to go if you get lucky enough to go that direction. Coming out of here with the new information you have, but this is where the Four Bridges scene is, and like I mentioned earlier, a couple of them are reachable from the side of the river system that divvies the whole region up, but there is, yes, on this side of it, a very suspicious, perfectly square 2x2 marsh area, and the northeast tile of it has the Mirror of Ra if you were so inclined to search it. So it sounds like you found this pretty quickly, Jay.
Yeah, but to your point, like, because I came here multiple times afterwards, I think I had to go up and around, like, down the side of the peninsula to kind of get there.
To get to this, I don't think you can get to there from that side. You probably went up there.
Right.
You probably went up there and saw it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I found that pretty quickly. I went there and I was just like, all right, I know I can stay alive for these 4 squares, so I'm going to search each one.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you have that mirror, and you've already had this all connected for you. So you go back to Hamlin, and you, and the go back there and see what the mutt is talking about. And when you do so, you use the item, the mirror, and it says, my copy that I got was Talent, held up the Mirror of Ra. Behold, the mirror reflected back the image of Princess Pita, in my case. Suddenly it shattered, and the enchantment was broken, freeing the princess from her furry form. And then she says, "O dear cousin, thou hast freed me beyond all hope. To repay this, I offer thee my loyalty and service as the Princess of Moonbrook. Please, take me with thee on thy quest, and then you're rolling 3 deep." And that was the first time, yes, that her name is fed to you. So Peta is actually a childhood one for us, Jab.
Yeah, I remember that.
As we've discussed. So what are your guys' princesses named?
Also Peta, of course. I thought Peta was the name, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I got Olissa.
Interesting.
Or it might be Olissa or Olisa. It's Ollisa. Which I'm not sure I'd seen that one before.
No, I've never seen that one before, for sure.
I can't remember. I know I had preferred ones. I know Bran was the one for your male cousin, and then I can't remember what the female one was.
It might have been Peta, because I honestly can't think of another one for the princess.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
All I know is that she needs to get leveled up before you take her anywhere. I took her out of here, and I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, you're level 1, and everybody else is like 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever."
Not great.
She got hit once, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yep.
Oh, okay, it's
Yeah, I got plenty of tales of the grind about that for sure.
It's Varia. Okay. Oh man, these names are crazy. I can't even fucking read that. Elani. Elani. Alyssa.
Elena.
Roz is Eleni.
Roz, yeah, I remember Roz.
Roz is one we would get. Yeah. Kaylin, Peta, Illith, that's a good name, and Gwen.
How many times have you guys played this game?
A lot,
like,
Jay. Okay.
What are we doing? Like, what?
Well, as kids, yeah, just who knows, man. Like, I wish I'd give anything for a fucking candid camera, fucking recounting of exactly how it all went down, because it would be riveting to watch, I'm sure.
I remember playing this game, you remember playing this game at and inside of Chad's house and in his room?
No, I don't remember taking it over there. But I remember being over there and playing. You know what I remember playing over there? And it's hilarious to me that I have this very specific memory. And I can even tell you some more shit about like that day.
I can picture one more game that I played there, but please go
Knight
on.
Rider.
Nope.
We played Knight Rider there. That motherfucker had Knight Rider. We played the shit out of Knight Rider. And I remember Kathy had ferrets. You remember that?
Oh, vaguely, yes. That
I remember the
does
ferret. I remember the fucking ferret cage in their kitchen. And... that all being on the same day.
Ferrets in the 80s and 90s. What is going on?
Dude, parents ferrets, 80s, 90s, and then also like rural Ohio and like low middle class. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What a fucking trip that was.
Yep. Yeah, that house is wild. And like, you know, who knows? I mean, the reason we'd have been over there, think about the possibility. I mean, we could have, that might have just been Deb going over there and hanging out and us.
I think they were just hanging out, actually.
Yeah, hanging out with Chad. But... because it was during the day. I'm thinking of an instance during the day. So that, but like I said, you know, I'm suggesting that means it's a more, you know, chill like situation that'll be daytime and not night where they're partying hard or something. But that doesn't really have any bearing at all. It doesn't matter.
A final point I'll make on this Dragon Warrior, now your completed party, spoiler alert, is that like I don't know the exact family tree that's going on here between you, the Prince of Canuck, and the Princess.
They're all cousins.
They're cousins.
Yeah, they're cousins.
Right. Okay, so well, here's the thing. In that world and that time, like either me or the Prince of Canuck might be marrying the Princess of Moonbrook at some point in the future.
Possible.
Like a
possible
Game of Thrones type of situation.
Having said that, you can
the houses and the lands and unite them.
And if you have to fuck your cousin to do that, you're going to have to do it. Now, having said that, you can have a child with your cousin with the...
How much pot are you on? You gave us this exact... you gave us this exact spiel last episode. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we're talking about dynastic families in a feudal society, and that's actually a really important thing, and I'm trying to dispel a couple myths about these things. I'm sorry. Okay, you got anything? I'm done.
We're done. Next segment. If you head north out of Hamlin, you will hit a bridge leading to a narrow sand path that snakes across the eastern continent, or eastern coast of this continent, I should say.
Hey, real quick, can I jump in? Did you guys know you can fuck your cousin and it's not a big deal?
You mentioned.
Okay.
We've mentioned it.
Just want to make sure I got that. I want to be really sure about it.
This will lead to a network of bridges that head inland to a tower encircled by a small mountain range, and I love that. So right before you get to the tower there, right when you basically head inland, there's you can go two ways. There's to the north there's an all desert strip with a cluster of hills in the middle, and then there's a little just grassy plains to the south on the other side of a little bit of water. So I love the fucking, I don't know, there's only so much appreciation you can have for like the the countryside of this overworld map, but it's a very unique and cool looking little area where it's just all desert tiles with some hills in the middle, and it just looks really cool to me. It looks like a very, very, I don't know, Valley of Death. I don't want to go that direction under any circumstance.
Yeah, it does have a Valley of Death vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So some evil scorpions or something there, like.
Yeah, something fucked up that I don't want to deal with for sure. So yeah, I'm not a masochist. As much as I appreciate it, I always go through the cushy grasslands route just south there. But every time I go through, I stop for a second and just kind of take it in, from across the water. So yeah, just to the west of that, the tower, or a tower, is there, and it appears round from the outside, but inside it is a perfect 24 by 24 tile square on the first floor. And the enemies inside here, it's the same shit as outside on this continent. On the first floor, there's zombies, smokes, megapedes, lizard flies, so on and so forth. And there are 3 stairways up on this floor and 1 chest with a piddly medical herb as far as POIs go. And I fortuitously had some vague recollection that I needed to keep to the edges of this tower to maintain the optimal route to the prize you're here for. And, I think that muscle memory, Jab, is rooted in the fear of taking an errant step and falling off the edge to what I always presumed would be insta-death,
Yeah.
And having that recollection, I decided to run the experiment because I didn't think of it until after I'd already completed this sequence. Now it's just kind of dicking around. So I had to unequip the cloak. So that was its own little experiment set. But yeah, I unequipped the cloak and I was leaping to my death off the 5th floor. And then I would 4th floor, 3rd floor, just seeing what would happen with each one of them, In any case, without the cloak, you appear outside at the base of the tower.
Yeah.
So
one tile from the tower.
Right. And that was, like I said, it was even kind of a thing to even know whether because the way the cloak is equipped is not the same. It's not a piece of equipment. It's an item.
It's an item,
yeah, you can't go into your equip thing and deselect it or equip or select it to equip it. You go to your item thing, and once it's on someone, I gave it to PETA in this case, it says if you try to use it again to unequip it, you get a message that says something like, remember that X has already donned the Cloak of Wind. So you can't voluntarily take it off. So I had to cook up the fucking scientific process of transferring it to someone. I traded it to someone, and when it went to the new person, it was no longer equipped. So that's how I was even able to run this experiment. But that was interesting to me that I had to go to those links just to figure this out.
Did you, when you jumped without the cloak, I feel like I remembered taking damage.
I didn't notice it. I don't think so.
Okay. That's what are they going to do? Kill you?
Yeah, it's definitely you would hope that they would, but they did not.
Yeah, they probably just don't have they probably didn't have take that however you go. Obviously they don't, but they probably didn't have a way to convey that you've when you die in combat, it's like you've been defeated.
Right.
But if you just died from an errant step, as you say, that you took, it's just what do we call that? How do you express that?
Have we tried, Jab? You're on Turbo anyways. Do it. Go out into the overworld and walk through swamp till you die, and find out if it just I feel like it might lock you at 1.
I think it locks you at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm honestly not even gonna fuck with it. I'm 99% sure it just locks you at 1.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would not have expected that.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, you want to take the stairs in the northeast corner from this particular floor. And on the second floor, there is a guard in the northeast corner, right when you come up from the stairwell, that tells you, take care that thou strays not over the tower's edge, which is where my fear stemmed from, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And this highlights a very interesting architecture philosophy of Torland, where many of the towers have balconies without any safety measures in place whatsoever, and you can easily just walk right off to your doom, even if it's not intentional or errant, and that's pretty interesting. And also, this guard has a really shit job.
Yeah, he's the only one there, right?
Right, exactly, right. Waiting around in this dangerous-ass tower amidst all these horrible creatures, too, on the offest of off chances, someone shows up. And,
not just someone, the hero to save the world.
Right, well, I think the job is tell anyone.
I'm sure, I guess they'll take anybody.
Yeah, right, yeah. He'll give this message to anyone, and he doesn't know necessarily. You certainly don't introduce yourself, and it's in a time, it's not like, he can't Google you, so he doesn't necessarily know, but either way, yeah. So he has to tell these adventurers this piece of bullshit, and, it's obvious just corporate CYA safety advice. It's not, this is not, of course you can fall off the edge. I don't need to know this. I have eyes. So it's a completely pointless job that is only there to cover the owner of the tower's ass. And I think he needs to have a little chat with his union rep, is what I think.
Yeah, regulations are written in blood, and so, maybe after a while they'll get some fucking, balcony fencing up there and
something. Yeah, you can definitely automate the safety measure where you do not need to put a human in peril to conduct this particular job to cover your ass.
Gotta cut costs though, man. Fucking the investors want returns.
Right.
This guy sounds like a cost.
Yeah, to get that bad of a job, this is a guard intern job. This is not even a staff position.
Yeah. He's definitely an intern. Absolutely.
Do guards have interns? I don't
know. A guard program, a college placement, a guard academy.
He's gone through the academy.
Placement. Fucking.
He's got to do 6 months to a year in service before he joins the union. Yep.
Yeah. And it's gonna be a dog shit job.
And can you fucking believe it? I got the Tower of Wind, the one I didn't want.
Yeah. But dude, my first fucking internship was at Merrill Lynch for free, cold calling people, which is the worst job in finance. Cold calling people. And like Merrill Lynch, you were cold calling, like they had this phone list. And supposedly, however, whatever nefarious ways with which they obtained this, the phone list was a $250,000 annual income and up phone list. However, wherever they get that from, I don't know.
I'm sure it's
Merrill Lynch. Yeah, I'm sure it's for sale. Yeah, even back then. And yeah, calling people with like, they didn't, they gave us some basic ass script to work from, but it wouldn't have ever worked. You had to add some personal. I was so bad at it. I hate.
How could you be good at it? I mean,
some people were. Some people were very good at it. They probably ended up working at Merrill Lynch because they probably earned money for what was that guy's name? I can remember that guy's name, Ryan. Ryan Brown, I want to say his name was. Ryan Brown was
dude.
And he, that dude was probably 25 that I was working under.
You knocked on doors at Merrill Lynch, or you cold call. I knocked on doors with Edward Jones. Like
Did
at
you?
An internship. Oh my gosh. Like throughout the neighborhood, knocking on doors. Hi, I'm with Edward Jones. I'm like, like at least you had like, you could hang up the phone or get hung up on. I had to like face to face talk to people.
So bad. Dude, I did. It wasn't an internship, but it might have been the first, like, it's when I was looking for a job. So because I remember I was living in Olentangy Commons. So this must have been, I was probably still working at PF Chang's and I didn't have, I think I was working at PF Chang's still even when I got that full-time, in quotations, advisor job after this. But I worked for this, I got this job, probably, I want to say, dude, that it was a fucking ad in the paper, which is crazy. That there was a newspaper where you went through and circled these things and called people. That's insane in of itself. But it was a door-to-door home security system. And it wasn't ADT. It was like a ADT fucking competitor. This shitty First Alert or some shit like that. I mean, there was the eagle on it. I remember on the fucking little, and they had the same size as ADT, but it was like a shittier. So funny. But it was basically just one dude at this industrial parkway, pretty near Olentangy Commons, fortuitously at least. That had just a fucking shitty little office with a bunch of the basic ass bitch things that if he actually sold a security system, he could give to the people and they could order more from whatever the fucking, the parent company, further fucking pieces to install to whatever cameras and shit or whatever the fuck they might have sold. And dude, yeah, I remember, I probably did it for a few weeks, maybe a month. And yes, going door to door. That's that was the main source of new business was going door to door. Dude. And that's probably better than trying to sell fucking investment advice door to door. It's probably a little easier and a little less like get the fuck out of here kind of thing. Like there's some possibility that you could be, especially because I would never do it alone. I never got to the point where I was going out alone. I was always with this dude. So like two guys showing up, one's at least a little older. There's a potential possibility that these two human beings are capable of delivering the thing that they're saying they're going to deliver. You were going out alone as a college kid?
No. I went with the investment rep. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was their big selling point. It was like, all right, the other houses, like they just give you a phone book and tell you to call. Like we're personable. You get your set up your spot in your neighborhood and you go knock on doors. And that was their big selling point. But for me, I'm like, I don't know that I want to live in Worthington like right now and make that what I'm doing for the rest of my life because I don't want to start this all over again. You know what I mean? Like It was just not my cup of tea. Like I like the idea of talking about investing, but like I don't want to just say here I'm going to be in Dublin or Worthington at like the age 22 and decide this is sticking.
Yeah, well that was you could spend hours on that, but that was the whole reason even once I got the full-time advisor job at Waddell & Reed, the major thing was like you're starting a business from scratch and they want you to do it with your family members and close friends, So like the idea that you're telling these people like, okay, you're selling the idea that you're going to be doing this for the rest of their life. So that's its own one thing. Two, they want you to sell products in-house that are not necessarily the best products. They're steering you to use these things as the investment financial tools that are not necessarily the thing that even you as the advisor, let alone anyone else, are going to view as the optimal thing to be selling, And Edward Jones would have wanted you to do this too if you ever got to that stage, for sure. They have their own families. Yeah. So, they obviously make more money on the in-house fund families. So, yeah, dude, there's a lot of grimy ass shit. Terrible, horrible thing.
So I'm an electrical intern, and I go to work and I just like play around like soldering shit and like in the machine shop with like drill presses and CNC machines, and it's just way fucking better. And I also get paid, so yeah.
Like that sounds fun.
Yeah,
it's great. I love it.
If they call that an internship, they're lying to you, Jeff.
More like apprenticeship. Like you're just
that's called a job.
I'm an apprentice electrical engineer, but I have to do it for school, so it's like a paid internship. And like my program coordinator kept saying that he's like, they're paid internships, and I was like, dude, I'm 36, it's a job. So yeah, I made a way better career choice.
Yeah, that's so good that this guy's a guard intern. That's so good. Okay, by floor 3, by floor 3, the enemies have upticked to ghost rats. That's a new. How do you feel about those, Jay? You were really flummoxed by the ghost mice. How do you feel about ghost rats?
What in the world? Like at first I was kind of like, oh, ghost rats, and I was like, F these guys.
They're not nothing. You know, they're certainly a huge step up from ghost mice.
Well, I would still only see one at a time. Like, so it was kind of
no. They come in groups, dude. You can get those in groups.
I know they do, but like at first, it was like okay, like my first appearance, not too.
It's funny to me that it's a complete. I mean, it's because it's the rat family, not and there is no mice family. That's why it's different. But it's funny to me that like the ghost mice, the ghost mouse sprite is like, it's like weird, dude. It's like it's got a harp. I think it's got a harp, right? Like, like what's it doing? It's in like it's got a shroud and like a harp. And
does it have a hat? I don't know. I gotta look it up.
And these are just they're just just like the big rat. And even those are kind of funny because they're like in a little suit, but
so different.
Yeah, whatever. You have to keep to the outermost stairways up to floor 5 and then head back down via enclosed rooms you can only access via stairwells from above to get back to the northwest room with the chest on the second floor. So that's kind of the trajectory. You have to go all the way up, then come back down. And the Cloak of Wind is in this chest, and I gave it to PETA to don. I like that they use that language. You know, you don't put it on, you don it. Mm-hmm. And it was weird. I didn't remember this path, but I did remember this path. And I went straight through it the first time without a single misstep. It was weird. Like, if you'd have asked me before I walked in here, which way do I go? I'd have had zero input for you.
But once you got in there, it just all clicked right back into place.
Muscle memory, as they say, yeah. Mm-hmm. So there are 3 more floors of dumbass runaround above the 5th, and it even leads to an empty chest in an otherwise empty room on the 8th floor, but it's all just an attrition diversion from that descent to the cloak. So, yeah, I mean, Jay, did you check that out?
Yeah, I did, because I kind of, after I got it, I was like, well, what should I do? I guess I'll go kind of further.
So you got the cloak first and then still went up to the 8th?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I got the cloak and I was like, all right, I figured this is the end, but you just never know what else. Like, I don't know what else is in this castle, or in this tower.
Were you able to, like, okay, so you did that, but even once you did that and kind of decided, like, okay, I don't need, did you go all the way back out through the ground floor, or did you jump out?
I definitely jumped out. Jumped out, yeah. Okay. Because I was like, hey, they're talking about, like, I can't fall. Like, what, that's the whole point, right? Or you can't die when taking damage.
Right. Okay, yep. That's not necessarily... Even I don't think I thought to do it. And like... Because you have to go... So you get down the second floor and you're in that enclosed room. So you can't just fucking walk out there. Yeah. You have to go all the way back up to the 5th. And then if you were to want to go out the actual exit, you have to go all the way back down the way you came up originally. And yeah, that's a lot of runaround. So obviously it's easier to just jump the fuck out. So yeah, I think I might have fucking went down a little bit. It's like, oh, that's right, I can just jump off. Yeah, which is funny.
I remember doing this as children, like navigating this, and like those controllers aren't, the RPGs famously aren't like super responsive to controller commands. So, like, I remember a couple times, like, us falling out of the thing, like, while trying to get the Cloak of Wind. Because, like, you just, A, you're a stupid kid, and B, it's not terribly responsive controls. So if you're trying to click by, like, one tile at a time, it's actually a little tricky.
Yeah, you call it responsive. Like, it's actually a tool I use when I'm doing the mapping. Because when you hit, so you stop for a minute, we've never even said that. So when you stop for a second in this game, whether you're on the overworld map or in a dungeon or a town or whatever, that menu comes up with your HP and level and what have you for your party. And the first thing you hit is not input. It just gets rid of that.
Yep.
So like if I'm mapping and I take a couple steps, I need to do some fucking drawing, and then which I do have a map for this, by the way. That'll be in the show notes and in our cache on the Google Drive. But yeah, so when you take a few steps and then like okay, that menu comes back up because I take a minute while I'm doing that. Like I need to, if I want to just go one step, I need to hit the button twice, and like I can tell myself that, I can know that, I can be sitting doing that for an hour. And sometimes when I go back to move again, I still don't remember. So like that's just like it's compounded by what you just said, the stupidity, the inaccuracy of just a child's existence. But also, that dumb thing is in there to fuck you up too. So it makes it even more complicated to just fucking be precision, whatever, anything. So when you jump out, if you have the cloak on, you're going to not be at the base of the tower. And I went back in and did some experimentation just to kind of make sure this was not just a standard thing or how it exactly worked. And I think the higher of a floor you drop out of, the further from the tower you land. And I think it might be a 1-to-1 ratio, like floor to tower ratio. So like if you jump out the 5th floor, you are 5 tiles from the tower, And
really?
Yeah, that's not to go unnoticed because that is a problem-solving tool for later, So that's
they give you that little hint right there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think
it's like this is necessarily different. It's not just that you. I mean, we don't even know if you take. Evidently, you don't take damage. So like that's how it gives you the impression that you have actually changed the mechanics of the game.
Bestiary annals. Jay, tell us about your one annal entry.
My beast is the lizard fly, also later known as the dragonfly, apparently. Weird. This little green floppy sprite. I picked this one because it appeared to show up in mini battles, like often. And yeah, not particularly tough, but it would appear often enough, and I would feel the need to take it out quickly.
Oh, shit. Early, when you first meet them, they're a motherfucker, because
they're kind of a pain in the ass.
And they also, here's a real fucked up thing about them, you can't mute their fireball spell.
You can.
No, you can't. Not with, no.
Got it to work.
No, it does not work.
There was I vividly remember, it happened last night, there was 2 of them, and I cast the spell, and it worked for one, and did not work for the other.
Really?
I mean, in science over here, so I'll never say 99 or 100%, but I'm pretty fucking sure.
I never got to work on any of them. I presumed it was based in the idea that it was not a spell. Obviously, it's a fucking lizard. I guess that doesn't matter in this world. But yeah, I viewed it as it was.
I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, I viewed it as a
breath.
Right, yeah,
a
skill.
Breath attack. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Exactly. Some kind of skill that was not spell-based. So I assume that you couldn't
I'm pretty sure it worked. I'll confirm that, and I probably won't make a note about it. We'll probably never talk about it again, so that's the end of that.
Right. Anyways, sorry for interrupting.
And either way, it because it's a flying enemy, I always want to take it out first, because to your point, like when you first encounter it, it's like, oh, I don't know what's going to hit me with, and I think it did hit me with something that kind of made me like hone in on it just to make sure it was never an issue after that. But it has 16 HP, infinite magical points apparently, which I've never seen before, but so take it out before it could just keep casting shit on you. 20 attack, 10 defense, 16 agility. When you defeat it, you get 25 XP and 12 gold.
That's not a bad XP number either. That's a good thing about them as well.
Yeah, getting a decent amount of those, you can actually do all right for yourself.
Yep. Word. Jab, what do you got for us?
I like the color scheme more, and it's a really good sprite that gets introduced very early on. So mine is you guys encountered these, right? Megapede.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. They're in the tower. They're actually in the countryside too.
Near
the tower, a little more southern. They're on the countryside too. They're not near Hamlin though.
No. Yeah, you got to go south. You got to get across a couple bridges for that, I think.
Yep.
But
they're pain.
Yeah, they were fun. I can't find their shit online because I'm unprepared.
That's not impressive.
I mean, I'm not super worried about it.
Well, Jay, feel free to do Jab's job since he's so bad at
please,
it.
Jay, go for it.
Sure. So this, with its colorful sprite, has 20 HP, no magical points, so it's just whacking you with 39 attack each time, 110 defense, 13 agility. You get 30 XP and 25 gold for beating it. So stiffer challenge, better rewards.
It's just a good sprite. Like it's not like you're excited to see him because you get a lot of like experience or anything. It just that's a good sprite.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about on the last episode, the centipods, how much of a fuck those are, and these. It's not as much of a math wrecker. You're a little, just they're harder, and maybe even proportionally harder, but because your attack variance possibilities have expanded exponentially by adding new characters, it's a different kind of problem,
Well, a lizard fly will actually fuck your math up.
Because adding the, we'll talk about it when we get to the grind here, but yeah, that Inferno, like having multi-damage potential, multi-enemy AoE. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Having AoE is changes the way, how impactful encountering anything is. It just completely changes everything. So, you're just more equipped to be able to dedicate. Because the thing is, in those previous fights, you have to dedicate Todd to those exclusively, or you're never going to kill it. and the Prince of Cannock, the POC, cannot fucking.
He's on mop-up duty, essentially.
Yeah, he's useless. Yeah, he's not going to do damage unless you use those spell points. So yeah, it's just a different fucking problem set. Anyways, mine is smoke because you don't want this smoke, and actually you do. These guys are chumps at this stage of the game, and particularly when alone, they're easily dispatched. But they're more of a support character. And that is because they have a spell that can silence your spellcasters. And it's listed as Fizzle in the wiki, but I'm thinking it's called something else in the game text. I can't recall what it is. I don't remember ever seeing the word Fizzle.
I don't remember either.
At any point. But yeah, they can silence your spellcasters, which of course can completely wreck that entire thing I was just describing a moment before I started this. So yeah, I mean, it can really fuck you up if it's with other shit, but around this time you're seeing them alone and they don't have anything really all that dangerous for you in that context. You'll find these in the countryside around Hamlin, Moonbrook, the tower, as well as inside of the tower, and probably many other places too, I expect. But the chief reason I chose them is the sprite is fucking awesome. It's a gray cloud of smoke with a wicked red jack-o'-lantern face in the middle, and it looks really, really good, in my opinion.
You know what I like about their setup as far as roleplay goes is, like, it doesn't even have to be, like, necessarily like an entity. It could just be like there's smoke in the air and your spellcasters can't breathe properly to cast the spell.
Correct. Just an environmental hazard. Yep.
Yeah. And much like this game, I've noticed this game's actually done that a few times with their enemies.
We talked about that with the Babbles. Yeah, with the Babbles, we discussed that same kind of.
It's just muck on the ground that you've got to navigate through, and then like, oh, I got a fucking cut on my foot. Now I'm poisoned.
Yep, and it could just be, when you take that further, these things, they would have to be, if you're saying they're not an entity, then they clearly are not sentient, then these are things that these particular enemies have learned to somehow hone, and bring into battle with them, and that is also pretty fun,
Or maybe they only choose to fight in places that have that.
Correct.
Because it's advantageous.
Right, correct. So by the numbers, smokes have 15 HP, 14 attack power, 40 defense, which is pretty high defense, and 15 agility, 11 XP, 40 gold. So yeah, you're not getting much out of them. So that's commensurate with the level of threat they pose.
Yeah, high defense because there's nothing to hit.
Right, precisely. Now, into Tales of the Grind, and I guess just for table setting, I'll kick it off. I decked out Talent in all new gear before heading out of Leftwind with him, and the optimal thing with him there is the chain sickle, the chain mail, and a leather shield. I presume you guys did the same thing in that case, yeah?
Samesies.
Yeah,
100%. I was in the position to, like, every time there was new armor and stuff, I'm getting it immediately.
And the kind of the bummer is for the Prince of Cannock, it's a little like he's almost maxed out.
Yeah, at least for a limited, while. Man. Yeah.
Yep. Well, honestly, that's applicable to both of them. If you think about it, we'll talk about the princess in a moment, but it's actually even more stark in her case.
Yeah, it is, in fact.
Yeah. So doing this process, upgrading this whole fucking weapon and armor set, I realized that I don't think we've talked about it yet, the selling things yields you 75% of the purchase cost in this, which is pretty good depreciation economy, if you ask me. And better, I believe it's 50 in the first one. Is it not? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I'm getting more. I don't know if I noticed a percentage, but I was like, I feel like I'm getting more each sale. I like this. I don't really think twice about selling things now.
This is a good infographic too. Yeah, because it was 80% in Ultima, if you recall.
I don't recall.
No. What is it in Final Fantasy, Jab? What is it in Final Fantasy? I don't know offhand. I can't believe we don't know that.
Rapier costs 10. I want to say 50.
Yeah, I want to say 50 too. Yep.
50 sounds right.
Yep. So yeah, 50 in the first two. Maybe I love the idea. Well, no, because Ultima's 3. So yeah, I love the idea that each. So the first installment of a game 50%, second installment 75%, third installment 80%. I love that uniform economy fucking standardization.
This is for Ultima?
Yeah, Ultima was the third one, and that was 80%, if you recall.
Well, they got to do something to keep you playing that fucking game.
Right?
No question, the coolest part about acquiring helpers in this game is that brings spellcasting into your repertoire, because you will never have that with the Prince of Maidenhall, unfortunately. I don't think so, right? You never get... No, nope. Never.
No.
He's a tank.
Yeah, he's a tank. Right. So, anyways, Talent is rocking the heal spell right from the jump, and that is a really nice come up for this band of adventurers, having to not be less dependent on the fucking herb situation, which is a huge pain in the ass and run around. So, the heal spell, each time we get through one of the new spells here, we'll talk about the spell specifically. And in this case, the manual description for the heal spell says it affects one ally, and when you or your allies are wounded during a fight, the spell may be chanted to restore some of your hit points. And that's pretty straightforward. I noticed him, or got him to level 3 before even making it to the monolith, and that is when he gets Fireball as well. And Fireball is described as one enemy. A small fireball shoots forth from the fingertips of the one who chants the spell, causing damage to your enemies. Many enemies can also use this spell against you, and this makes him at least capable of being an offensive presence in battle, as his melee attack is utterly useless when you first acquire him. And I'm still hesitant to do so, though, as the MP is much better spent on the heal spell at this time, in my opinion.
And keeping it for antidote.
Yep. Well, yeah, that brings us... You don't have antidote from the jump. You get antidote at level 6, and that is described as one ally, and some enemies have poisonous fangs or breath. Once you have been poisoned, your HP will decrease with each step. This spell will draw the poison from your wounds. And when you actually use the spell, or use the antidote herb, I believe, the copy you get is the poison was drawn out of X's wound. And I really like this. I like that. Drawn out as opposed to, poison is gone is good descriptive language, I think.
Survival tip, in real life, you're not supposed to do that. Like, if somebody gets bit by a snake, you don't suck the poison.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, yeah.
You'll just envenomate yourself, and then you're both fucked.
Yep. Also gross.
Good point, sure.
Also super gross. Yeah. So the best part, you mentioned it already, too, with the kind of the pairing of this with the heal, but you can... By getting, basically what it allows you to do, because I was carrying, this is a good question, I guess. What was your inventory situation like with those herbs? Like, how much of a safety buffer did you keep on hand normally prior to getting arcane-based healing technology, Jay?
None. Oh, sorry.
I definitely kept a few on me for sure. Like, I would take a couple antidotes and a few herbs, like as much as I could really carry, because I was remembering the whole, like, you guys saying like, oh, I carry 99 with me.
Not Final Fantasy, yeah.
Which is ridiculous, yeah. But like, just because that's in my mind, I would get to certain places where I'd be grinding or trying to get places and realize if I just had a few more herbs, I'd be okay. Yeah. So I always just tried to make sure I had a few, whatever I could fill in my inventory based on what I had of herbs and like 2 antidotes just in case.
I would keep my POC, the Canic Prince, stocked with 2 of each. So basically his whole inventory would be stacked with those. But yes,
and the best thing about it is you could just those herbs actually have some good healing properties. Like
better
they'll
than
drop
the
like
spell.
40 on you.
Yeah, better than the heal spell for sure. Yeah.
And if you need to, you can just drop them. So I mean, you're like if I found them in the wild from a chest or something, like I would try to use those to preserve the MP. But like I'm leveling up like right outside towns essentially. Like there's no need for me to. I'll just hit the fucking hotel.
Yeah. Well, I would. Yeah, I mean, I would keep them even outside of leveling up, just on the questing. You know, I would have them. That's honestly, I would probably never use them because I'm so conservative with the math.
Not that it matters. Like I've got so much gold already.
Yeah, it's always cheaper to go to the end in the northern continent, anyways, than to use, and certainly less of a pain in the ass too. You know, it's sometimes it's just more about fucking quality of life than the math. But yeah, so now you can hold all those lottery tickets because if you only keep,
that's actually what I kept my slots open for. Is just like lottery tickets. I gotta play.
Yeah.
I lost my ass last night. I was texting you guys. Everything.
Not about enough of the lottery tickets.
That's how the game is designed.
Oh, you know, I actually, real quick, I don't know. I mean, I'll just throw it in here, I guess. I don't know where else to put it. I was playing the lottery last night, and I got 2 hearts on my first 2 rolls. And I was like, cool, I'm going to fence test this. So I saved state, and then I reloaded, did it again. It was different. And then I loaded again, did it, and I got the heart. So it is different from each time.
So it randomizes from each. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But whatever it was, I didn't keep the prize because I'm not a fucking cheater.
Well, with hearts, it's the herb, was it not, Jay? That's what we got our first thing. I think it's herbs, medical herbs specifically.
I got 3 hearts and 1 medical herb. Yep.
So my POC died for the first time out here when I was grinding after the. I think outside Hamlin is where that was. But so yeah, I had to. So he dies. And I have to piss 120 gold at the wall to revive him. And just as far as like the process of doing it, you go to the House of Healing, choose revival, and then the guy says, the rabbi says, this is a very delicate operation. It may take a while. And then later, when I needed to revive this prick again, he died again, the cost went up to 200.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I was like, why is it like 200 gold now? I was like, wait a minute. Do I want to res you?
Right. Yeah, and that's my question. Is it, my best guess is it scales with level, is what I hope, or it's not a finite number, is it?
I don't know, because after that happened, I don't think I went back to a previous stage. I just kept playing and whatever, and like eventually a death happened again, but it was back lower again. So I don't know.
Really? You saw it go down?
Yeah. So I don't. Maybe a different person died. Maybe PETA died this time.
Okay. Yeah.
But it definitely went down, and I remember thinking, okay, it's not escalating. That's good. So
I'm gonna in the background here. I'm gonna try and get somebody killed and see if I can get. Big rats aren't gonna kill anybody.
Yeah. I would really like to know what exactly how that works. It's got to be with level. There's certainly it can't possibly be finite deaths. That's impossible. So it can't be the number of deaths. It's got to be just
level. Yeah. I mean, that would be a cool feature for them to do, actually, to like, lizard flies will definitely kill people. Yeah. It would be a cool feature to do to like, keep track of the deaths, and each time like it gets more punitive to revive. That would actually give a good incentive to not
get killed.
Yeah, right. I mean, the cost going up definitely made me not want to get killed ever again after that. It's going to be next time.
All right, yeah.
500 gold.
Yeah. So moving down to Hamlin and doing some grinding around there, or just showing up in Hamlin for the first time even, you have the decision to make. We've talked about it last time, whether to, because there's a number of things that can be purchased in Hamlin to upgrade your quality of life with both these 2 characters that we have when we first get there. And there's the Iron Spear, which the POC can use, and then the broadsword, the plate armor, and the steel shield, all of which the tank can use. And so you have to decide which one you're going to do. I went actually kind of contrary to what I usually do, the Iron Spear first for the POC, because
you're trying to get something out of him.
Right. He was out here doing 1 damage on centipods level 7, and that makes him nearly useless in this grind zone. Where Todd could crack most things as melons open with 1 hit with his sickle. So it just made more sense to make my flowchart easier on this, up front to upgrade him before I started doing anything with Todd, offensive or defensive, So I actually regretted. So, when I first came out of what is that, left win, when you first get the POC, you can buy him that sickle, and that's $550, I think, 500 something, 530 or some shit like that. And then you go straight, all you're doing, that's the last thing you're doing there is equipping him. And then you go south to Hamlin, and then you get to Hamlin, and the fucking spear's there. And obviously, it's dumb. You can make he can do 1 damage in both those places. Right. to get me to Hamlin and fucking just spend the money on the spear and not waste the money on the fucking sickle. So I regretted having done that.
Yeah, he should have got the hand-me-down sickle.
Right. Well, I guess I should say he can do 1 damage with both the club, which is what he starts with, and the sickle. Either one of them are doing 1 damage. So the spear helps a little bit. It is a change with that, but yeah, those first 2 things, like, there's just no point in making the upgrade there. So I regretted that.
Okay, so Elisa is dead. I'm reviving her. It's $80.
Okay. And what level is she? Here's the thing, though. You have to change. So you have to grind the level too, which probably doesn't take that long. I guess.
Well, I can control for to see if it's a frequency of death thing. She's at level 4 right now.
Okay. Word. Well, when you bump the POC to level 8, he gets Stop Spell, and this is described as affecting 1 group of enemies, your first AoE spell. When this is chanted, it can block the spells of enemies. Some of your enemies can also use this spell. When you select the spell, you must choose which group of enemies it should be used against. So they're like, okay, new mechanic. Fucking open your eyes, pay attention. And yeah, I could not wait to unleash this on those. In this area, you're getting a lot of, when grinding, you're getting a lot of the 4 magician parties.
Yeah.
And the fireball thing can really fuck you.
That can stack big time.
Yep. Even though it's funny, it's funny when you get this spell is about when they're kind of starting to run a little bit, unfortunately. So like when you finally have the capability to mute them all and just fucking stomp them, they start running. That is a little fucked.
Okay, so Elisa's dead again. Revival, $80.
Okay, so it doesn't stack with occurrences. So
got to be a level.
Yeah, it must be.
If it's not occurrence, then it has to be level.
Yeah,
which is good. I mean, yeah, fucking
makes sense.
It actually pushes you out for your grinding.
Yeah.
Because like if you're dead, and you guys can do the math. What the fuck am I explaining this for?
So I had enough gold out of the charred husks of Centipod hides to get Todd decked out in all the hot shit, broadsword, full plate, steel shield, at the level ratio of 12/9. And I thought of that while doing my notes. How is that for a conversational way of explaining the party's level situation here on this side quest moving forward? Just like a ratio. So 12/9 over, even when you add the princess, 12/9/1 or whatever. I think that's a sensible way of doing it.
What now? What are you saying?
I'm asking.
I see what you're getting at.
So we're going to be talking, obviously their levels are always going to be different because you get them in a staggered fashion. So we're talking about a different level situation in all cases for 3 different characters, and a simplified conversational way of talking about this so we all understand what we're saying to each other, and we don't need to stop and say, okay, Prince of Midenhall is level 12. Prince of Canada, just doing it, call it a level rate.
3, 7, 5. 5, 4, 3 or whatever.
Precisely, yeah. Calling it a level ratio and just doing the numbers. X over X over X. All in favor, motion passes. On to new business. Anyhow, when I copped some fairy water, ! And set out to the southwest in search of this Moonbrook the guard in Hamlin told of, I used fairy water. And it says, this was actually some dialogue stuff I thought pretty fun to specify or talk about since we haven't. But it says Todd sprinkled the fairy water from head to toe. So 2 things about that. 1, he sprinkles it from head to toe. That's just fun. But also, fuck talent, I guess. He just sprinkles it on himself.
Like, I'm safe.
Good luck, bro.
Well, he's putting on some off, and I used to go fishing and shit at ponds, and it's just mosquito central, and I never really, even as a kid, I was like, I have to spray chemicals that life doesn't like on my body.
Yeah, not into it. Sure, yeah.
So maybe he's trying to look out for his cousin.
So that's what it says when you use it, and then when it runs out of effectiveness, the copy you get is the fairy water evaporated and lost its power. So the idea, I guess, different, when something changes from liquid to a gas is really what we're discussing here. And yes, different substances, different chemicals have different evaporation points, yada, yada, yada. So, it's not necessarily just like what water would be, but the idea that this stays wet on you or coding you for the duration that it does in the game is kind of funny to me. Like evaporated is funny terminology to choose for that, I think.
Yeah, they're what's that fucking term in chemistry? I'm embarrassed I don't know it right now. Either way,
the point of evaporation, is it not? I mean, it's
no, that would be but there's the idea of a physical state change is called something.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
So yeah, that's fun that they put in there. I also, this is a good spot to talk about it. I don't know how you guys feel, but in my experience so far, the encounters in this game are ticked up big time.
Yes.
Like I get into a lot of fucking encounters in this game.
Yep, it's a lot. I agree. And that is, conversely, my point with even bringing this up is I didn't get in a single encounter on the way to Moonbrook after using
with
this
the fairy water.
Yes. And
it's actually practical now.
Yes, you turned me into a believer, Jay. Just tell me what to do next. Just tell me what to do next. I am your disciple. Yeah.
Nice.
I would stock up on as much of this as I could fucking carry for the journey to the tower. And I am of the mind it even worked inside of there. And I am fairly sure. Yes, I am fairly sure it did not work in Dungeons in Dragon Warrior 1.
I would agree with that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's wildly beneficial. Even when, our whole argument was that, like, if it works on it, we can kill the thing. Not true. Like it completely eliminated the danger for the most part. I mean, I did still get in battles. It doesn't completely nerf the random encounter thing, but it significantly decreases it. No question. Again, even in dungeons, even a dungeon that you're that's like you're at the level you're supposed to be at to trying to conquer it. Or, I'm maybe a little over leveled because I'm a fucking freak. But even with that taken into consideration, like it's no question a visible effect. So that's pretty wild.
Typically these sorts of repulsive math changes in these games only work against weaker enemies. Yeah. If you're saying that they're working against, because I actually haven't tried against stronger enemies. I've been trying to level up. Yeah, if it's working against stronger enemies, that's crazy. And working inside, again, like typically that's a mechanic that does not exist in these games.
Yep. And I guess, maybe a little more experimentation is required to fully form a fucking, you're not going
to publish this in a scientific journal yet, but
right. Yeah. I mean, because maybe the towers, because they're above ground, maybe it's different. Maybe it's different when you're down in a dungeon.
See, even that, dungeon. I'd be surprised if they made that distinction.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, me too. But
it is possible.
Yep. So talent hitting level 10 yields him the return spell. The return is described as affecting all allies, and by chanting the spell, you and your allies will instantly be transported back to the place where you last saved your game. This spell can get you out of a tight spot, and I love that wording. This spell cannot be used during the fighting mode. And despite this...
love that wording.
Yeah, less excited about that. Despite the massive quality of life come up, I still keep a wing on hand in my adventure starter pack because you usually only need to hit the eject button, which is when you would use the spell, at the very end of your rope. A time when this dude very well may have insufficient MP to pull the spell off. So,
or could be dead.
Which are synonymous, but it's okay to specify.
I also keep a wing of wyvern in my pocket.
And I keep forgetting to double check it. The wing wyvern in this game, which is also different than the first and worth mentioning, it has two functions. If you use it in a dungeon, it will take you out. Yeah, we talked about it for the lake cave. Yeah, if you use it in the dungeon, it will take you outside. And if you use it on the overworld map, it takes you back to where you last saved. So it has...
Are you saying that, actually? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does both. I keep forgetting to double confirm, but I'm pretty sure I think, Jay, you said you did that, didn't you?
Yeah, I definitely did. And because I've experienced each of these. Like when because obviously I've been able to level up past here. So when I was in, I can't remember if it was the tower. Maybe I was in the tower. And I was running low one of my tower trips because I took 3 trips there, 3 attempts to kind of get through that. And so one of my trips there, trying to get out, I tried to use the return. Yeah, I tried to use the return spell.
Thinking it was synonymous with the wing wyvern. That's funny.
It did not take me anywhere. It just used my MP, and I was like, oh my gosh. So then I had to use outside to actually get outside.
That's great.
And that's all I had left. And then I had to fight my way back and like died on the way. So I was like, oh my gosh, if I'd known.
That's great.
You guys are like in the dungeon, and like Prince of Canuck starts talking. And the Prince of Maidenhall looks over and he's like, what the fuck did you just say?
You
just cast that spell here, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. Well, no. The Prince of Maidenhall is way too dumb and
he's clueless.
Yeah, it all sounds like mumbo jumbo to him. Shut up! You're like, get on with your mumbo jumbo and get us out of here, dude.
Peter might be saying that since she's got some magical ability. She's probably like, you might want to.
Yeah, you're fucked that up. You definitely fucked that up.
Yeah. I won't tell on you, but that was stupid.
Yeah. So really, it is smart. My philosophy that I just described of why I keep one on hand, it confirming that kind of makes it dumb to only keep one on hand. What you really should be doing is keeping two because you're only. I mean, I guess you could say only getting out of wherever you're at is still a huge help.
If you're that hard up, then you probably need to go home.
Right. Exactly.
But that's what I mean. As long as once you have him and he's level 12, right? Then as long as you have 12 MP left, then you're good. You can.
So that's great. That's great that and I'm not putting
that mental math.
I'm not putting that here, and that's actually something that should be added is how many spell points it uses. That's a good point that I'm not adding that here. So that's great to me. That really makes me happy that you know that right from the top of your head, the combined cost of both. That's great.
In my math in the battles, it's like, all right, we know Maidenhall, you're a fighter. We know Peta, she is all like, I'm using her for AoE damage and things like that. And, Numo, my other prince, he's more like the buff guy. He can do damage, like if I need him to. But if there's groups of magical people, he's like debuffing, stop spelling. I need him to get us the hell out of here. Yeah. Like that's his whole central role.
Yeah, agreed.
So I am in the channel tunnel between the two continents here. Uh-huh. And I've got a Wing of Wyvern. I'm going to use it. Nothing happened.
No shit. Brutal.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
See?
I could have
the same thing. You gotta like.
Well, maybe you know what? Here's the thing. That's a dumb one to try because that's a bullshit thing.
It's the nearest one I had. I can go to Moonbrook Castle real quick.
Go to the. No, well, you can try the castle too. Is also fun, but go to the Lake Cave or the Spring of Bravery. Go to an actual dungeon.
Jesus fucking Christ! It's $1 million.
Hey, what you don't do the rest of the job. Do some part of it. Just do something helpful.
Yeah, I have no idea how often I hear that.
So yeah, Jay, you already mentioned it, but at level 12, the POC gets the outside spell, and outside is described as, again, affecting all allies, of course. In caves and towers, you will encounter powerful enemies. If you become lost here, or if you become too weak to make it to the outside, this spell may be chanted to transport you and your allies to the ground. This spell cannot be used during the fighting mode, either. It's not there, but either. And so that's all the spells I got for the POC based on where I landed leveling-wise. Did you guys didn't have any more, did you?
Nope, got the same.
Okay. I got I was 15, 13, 7.
Okay.
Around grabbing the cloak wind.
Perfect. So Peta also has spellcasting ability, the princess, the POM. She kicks the door in with heal more right from the jump at level 1. So she's
great,
yeah. She's showing, and it's like, within this game, it is what it is, and there's spells that go beyond that capability, and that's why this one is here with her at the beginning, is because it's not the most about it healing spell. But in the vernacular of Dragon Warrior, as you understand it coming into this game, the idea of having, heal more, which is like heal more and hurt more are the last two spells you get in the first one, and heal more is a big come up. So like the idea that she walks in the door with it feels really fucking like, whoa.
Kanik doesn't get it until he's 14, level 14. You know what I mean? She gets it right off the bat. So it's like, all right, bro, you take a while just to get, like, you need to get your game up. Your cousin, she's ahead of you a little bit.
Definitely.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So yes, the heal more it's still only one ally. It's not a group healing spell, but it reads as more powerful than heal. This spell will restore a greater amount of HP. It can be used in either the walkabout or fighting mode. I like that they call it walkabout mode. Yeah, we don't actually have the numbers fed to us here, but the way I think of the disparity between the heal and the heal more spell is, at this part of the game, I mean, of course, I use the heal spell when Talent or Peta are getting to the danger zone, and I use heal more when Todd is getting to the danger zone. So that's how you can think of the math, the difference. Yeah.
I used the Wing of Wyvern in the Moonbrook Castle, and it took me back to Hamlin.
All the so any so we got a lot of variants here, dude. Yeah, we got a lot. So
I didn't say the experiment was done. I said what it did.
Yeah, that's crazy that it thinks of that as just part of the overworld map then for those purposes, which you're above ground. It should. I can't believe it differentiates them, but you're above ground.
I'm kind of surprised because one's above and one's not. So I'm gonna return back to apparently. Oh fuck! That was stupid. All right, I'll keep running.
Word. And she gets sleep at level 2, and sleep is described as affecting one group of enemies, so it's AoE. And it is said that in the old days, wizards coming down from the mountains used this spell to cure injuries or diseases of the townspeople. This spell can temporarily paralyze enemies, sending them into a deep state of sleep. And 2 things. 1, that description is crazy to me.
A lot of world building for just a little spell.
Yeah, for sure. Because, it's not... I love the idea... Because what that does, in my mind, is it equates science and magic in a much closer aligned way in that it's not, these spells don't come out of the box ready for distribution. You know what I mean? There's some R&D going on in the lab where they find this thing, just like in science. Like, oh, we find this certain compound affects this certain metal in a certain way. Now we think the best possible application of that is this. And then it's like silly string. Silly string was found by way of, I can't remember what the fuck it was, but it had nothing to do with shooting shit at people at parties,
That's not what they set out for.
Right. So, they that was found for a completely different purpose, and then someone had the thought, just fucking around with it, like, oh, I could use it for this.
Yeah, they probably sprayed somebody in the lab, and they were like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Right. Yeah. Wait a minute. I think
that was hilarious. Let's do that again.
We have found science. We can sell
We have found fun. What is the numerical equivalent of this fun finding that we have here? Yeah, that's great. But the idea that this came out of the box, they were using it for something else, and like, oh wait, fuck. And how do they find that? You can go into a whole tangent of how you might find that. They're trying to cure injury or disease in a battle state, and they find out, like, as they're doing that it fucking, this thing over here just falls over. No, they're like, oh, wait a minute. Fuck. Yeah, that's fucking great. That's really, really great. I love that. Conversely, to all the fun had with that description, I don't think I've used the spell a single time.
I've tried it. Yeah. I've definitely tried it.
Was it effective?
Yeah.
Depends on the groups. I've definitely tried it with this, on a group, 2 of them will fall asleep, 2 of them will not fall asleep. So,
are these things weaker than you? Like,
everything's
weaker than you, but
I just try it on everything just to see. You kind of learn that certain things, like enemies are just not going to sleep, but if they're like more like millipedes and things like that, then they might go to sleep. So I always try it at first just to see like if it's going to be effective, and then I just make a mental note. Like if I've tried it once or twice and that's just not effective, I'm not trying it again.
Right. Yeah, that's like the problem with these games is like by the time typically these early Nintendo RPGs, by the time a spell like sleep will work, you can already just wax that enemy.
Right.
Yeah, using MP and like honestly wasting your time.
It wasting time. That's the way to describe it, because it is a matter of like, yes, you can put it to sleep, and then of course
chop it up.
It's going to be benign until it wakes up, and you can probably kill it before it does that. But you're just wasting the time. You could kill it in that same amount of time in 2 turns, anyways. So like, yeah, maybe it gets 1 HP, but is that worth the extra fucking time? No, probably not. and button depressions, frankly,
unless there was like a group of call them magicians or something more powerful that can like hit you with something that you don't want to be hit with, then it's like I will happily spend that to see if I can put a few of you to sleep to avoid that.
Here's the thing though, in that case, the surround spell,
the stop spell.
Stop spell, yes, you don't have the stop spell doesn't not work.
Yeah, it actually does work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's a percentage thing or something, but
yes,
and I'm sure stop spell can not work sometimes, but it certainly has a more effective or a higher effectiveness rate. So even in those cases, sleep doesn't have the utility that you would want it to. I guess you could make the flip side of that argument is it's not for arcane nerfing, it's for melee nerfing rather.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the way to think about it, actually.
So I'm in that. It says Spring of Heroes on the map that I'm looking at. That's not what it's called. Northeast corner.
Yep.
Winged Wyvern use, nothing happened. So they actually made the distinction between above and below.
Yeah, okay.
Which kind of...
So that's crazy. I could have swore that we talked about getting out of the thing that way. Huh. Interesting. Well, here's one more step to the spell, or to the experiment. Go down to the second floor of...
Moonbrook?
Of the dungeon.
Is there a second floor in this one?
There is in the... No, in the lake. You gotta go to the lake cave. Lake cave. That's
one of our fans can run that experiment. I don't fucking feel like doing it. Oh, Lake Cave I'd have to go to?
Yeah, it's just to the northwest there.
Fine.
What else do you have to do? Hamlin has no gear to upgrade the princess from her lowly bamboo stick and closed starter pack, but if you venture back to Leftwind, you can get the magic knife for her, and she's able to fumble through fights with a hint more melee capability. So, like a seasoned fucking vet, I went up there, and then I wyverned back, so I didn't have to walk, to Hamlin, where I had talked to the guy and made my new save point. Some serious arcane damage potential finally hits the scene at level 4 for the party as the POM gets Infernos. And Infernos is described as a AoE, a one group of enemies spell. And this spell creates a mystical force around the one who chants it. This force makes a fierce attack upon the enemies. That's interesting, too, that it's not just a fireball you shoot. It's... You are enveloped by, I presume, flames, it's saying. And then that enveloping of flames, like, shoots out or blow, whatever the delivery mode would be, and affects the enemies in that way, as opposed to, again, just like a projectile, which is what I would think of this to be, So, that's kind of fun.
You're getting so many fucking fights in this game.
The very first fight with this... Once I got the Inferno spell, was a 1 magician, 1 baboon, 2 cenopods battle. And having perfect. Exactly, it's the perfect implementation of it. That takes that from a 3-turn minimum battle to a 1-turn. And it's just,
right.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
The efficiency there is just off the charts.
Yep.
The Infernos are key to unlocking the fun and, all of it.
Yeah.
To really completing the party, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, because that makes her at that point she's still very support, and as we talked, heal more. You've already got heal and it hits pretty hard. If you got some herbs sitting around, you're pretty good on that front. So heal more is not a big deal. Then you get sleep and
yeah, it's like
and she doesn't do any damage. And then once she gets Infernos and can AOE with some pretty serious damage, then it becomes a complete.
Well, just if you just think about it in some sort of visual, some sort of fucking chart or something, you would have you have 2 offensive capabilities, obviously melee and arcane powers, and if you just look at the chart of it, each one it's a zero sum situation. You have max and 0 for spells for the PO for the lead dude. You have the POC is this 50-50 kind of thing, and then the princess is supposed to be 0 and max 0 melee arcane max arcane, and until she has that spell, that dynamic isn't there. So it's just an unbalanced visual until she has that spell.
She's not the inverse of the tank until she gets that spell.
Yep, for sure. Word. Okay, well that's all the kind of fucking whatever the what are those called? The formalities of our level progressions here. So now we can just talk about our individual experiences. And, I kind of went through and kind of said where I was grinding though, but the ratio I got to before I set out for my first tower trip, and it only took me 1, and that's good that you specified that, Jay. But the 1 trip to the tower was a 14-11-5 ratio, and that was enough to not need a second, thankfully. So that is how my actual grind went. Jay, talk to us about yours.
Yeah, I think, again, by the time I actually finished it, went on my last take 3. Still died on that take, but, I made it work. It was 15-13-7. I think I went there several times before when I was 11 something. I don't know. I pretty much just grinded right outside of Hamlin because I figured that was the place to be. I went pretty much between Hamlin and Moonbrook trying to find just different places. Just let me step into the most higher up places I can get, and find the enemy.
Had you, in looking for the tower, I'm sure you said you played Beyond, so there's no point in being veiled about this. Had you found the Dragonhorn Tower before you found the Tower of Wind?
No, because that's way over there to the west, right?
Okay. Right.
Yeah. No. Because I went down because I kept getting stuck on this tower and dying. I'm like, I can't go west of freaking Moonbrook. You know, like I'm still even though like some of the bridges don't really feel like a step up in enemies. I went further to the Moonbrook monolith, and I was kind of like venturing a little bit. And I was dying. I was like, all right, never mind. I got to stick over here and focus on that area. So I really didn't venture until after I got that.
Yeah, I haven't went over there yet, so I don't know what the enemy set's like. But it's cool to hear that it's built into the design to deter you by having battles over there that are like, nope, you're not supposed to be here.
It was one of those things where like I'm not sure where else to go, and I'm looking at the map like, well, like eventually I have to make it over to the original Dragon Warrior location, and I got to get there. So it should be harder, so I kind of dabbled a little bit. I kept just exploring, like, how far can I go before I'm like, nope, got to go back.
That's cool, too. I like the idea also of the player that doesn't know this whole world map and doesn't know what it means. But Alefgard. And that's the first Dragon Warrior, and you want to get over there. Exactly. If only to revel in
nostalgia.
Exactly, to have the nostalgia visit, even if it's not significant to the story, or it turns out to be not significant for the story, you want to spend some time over there and just kind of soak it in. So you're drawn over there, but then there's in-game things to be like, slow down there, fucking.
Bucko.
Slow down there, Pecos.
Sure. Yeah, but there seem to be enough enemies in terms of variety and getting XP pretty fast to kind of stay around the Moonbrook Hamlin area while grinding. You know what I mean? So it didn't take me as long as I thought it would, and it was rather enjoyable, especially really the strategy aspect of it. Kind of like, all right, I know the Prince of Middle Maidenhall needs to be like laying down the most damage, like I said before. And, now that I have Infernos, PETA's going after all the groups, like just handling them in one turn. So like that became really fun, and it was more of a game of like every time I would encounter a group of enemies, like I was saying, what spells work as well, what works on which guy, you know what I mean? Trying to refine my processes before I venture out west.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It does. It gives you an extra, this area or this point of the game in the story, because you're acquiring these new characters, no question adds like this level of additional layers to the grinding, because you are, like you said, refining your process. You're figuring out later on, when I encounter this type of group of enemies, and it doesn't have to be obviously a 1-to-1, but like I said, the lizard flies usually come in packs, and those have those fireball spells, but not in the same way that magicians have fireball spells. Well, they're kind of equated, I guess, in the same that those, both the lizard flies and the magicians at the tail end of this part of the game, this level ratio area that we're all three of us are in right now, or were for this part of it anyways, the POC can kill one of them with a melee attack.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So once that becomes the case, you stop thinking about them so much so in, I need to AoE these with the princesses Infernos. You start thinking like, okay, I can do something else with her, or even melee, just dump her melee and save the MP, and have the POC handle that group, while Tada, or the Maidenhall Prince, obviously handles whatever the really big, the baboon or the centipede or the zombie, whatever's in the group. And, you can kind of save MP and stretch out your grind a little longer. And prior to that, obviously, yes, you're infernosing that group of the fucking lizard flies, or they'll be dead. And the thing too about that previous situation, instead of, if they're magicians, and not, like I said, I didn't think you could with lizard flies, but they're magicians, you're changing your spell casting from you do the stop spell on them, and just get rid of the magician's thing and just nerf them and just kill them at the end, and then just focus everyone on the heavy hitters or the melee dudes in the group. So yeah, it is a really fun part of the game, and just kind of learning how to best tackle those problem sets in a somewhat low-risk environment, because you're just grinding outside of town and not in a tower.
Unless you're a psychopath.
Unless you're a fucking maniac, yeah. So yeah, really, really cool part of the game, and it's cool to hear that you just inherently embrace it that way. Awesome. Anything else? Were there any fucking happenings that we didn't fucking hit on already?
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I just kept... Were you ever able to defeat a metal slime? I don't know that I've done that.
I haven't gotten
I love that you say
They
it.
keep running into... I keep running into them, and at first, I remember originally in Dragon Warrior 1 being like, oh, that's a thing that I didn't really get to do. And now I was like, why can't I kill it? Like, I'm trying over and over.
Well, it
either hurts me or runs. Like, what is happening here?
Yeah, and it's funny because that's why I brought this up with the metal babbles in the first one, because you will get to a place in this game where metal slimes can be killed rather routinely.
Yeah.
And there's no point in the first game where they aren't an accomplishment, you know? Like I said, even late in the game, I think I recorded that segment where, like, I fucking beat the one. And I remember 115 XP. I remember that right now, sitting here. So far removed from playing the game. It's 115 XP. And by the time you can do it in the first game, that 115 XP isn't even really meaningful. It's just such
the
an accomplishment
doing it.
because they always run, you know? So in this game, it becomes much more routine, much earlier. Well, it just becomes routine at any point would be a change, I guess. But it becomes routine at not even like a really, 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 really late stage. Those become pretty routine. But the babbles replace them in like...
Babbles become the metal slime.
Yeah, exactly. It's borderline impossible. Okay. You know, and they fucking...
When you get them, you will be excited.
Exactly.
Same thing. Like, you probably won't need the experience at that point, but you'll be like, fuck, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
You're going down.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just... I love that they... tweaked that because again they know it's just such a great understanding of your product and your story to know and of your user base, I guess your player, to know that the second you see them there's going to be this deeply rooted trauma that is going.
Dude, I tried to drop everything on the metal. Like I was like Infernals, Slice, like just everything and just nothing. I was like, are you kidding me, man?
Yeah. One day, don't worry, you'll get there. Yeah. You gotta grow up a little bit.
Yeah, and it's that's such a cool thing too, because you know they're able to place that in this part of the game, and you know because even if they might drop or hurt more on you or whatever the fuck it is, some sort of thing that can fuck you up a little bit and then run, you know, they don't hang around and just hammer you. So like the fact that like they can drop that in as a carrot and give you like something, even if it's like a side quest of sorts, har har. Yeah, even if it's just something in the back burner for you to think about that you can't do right now, but doesn't totally ruin your fucking day when you get it dangled in front of you, is a really cool way of applying those, you know, cueing those emotions in you without ruining the fucking game experience. It's just a good job of game design and a pretty fun little thing. Almost, you know, it's teetering on Easter egg is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So pretty fucking cool.
An achievement before achievements.
Right.
Kind of like War Mech, actually.
Kind of like... War Mech's a much bigger deal, but yeah.
A little bit. You don't need to do it.
Yep. I never did beat that. Yeah. When I went back and did that return trip with the bros after I beat Chaos, that fucker just laid me out. I don't know if I remember.
Yeah, he's no joke, dude.
I don't think we talked about that because
he's harder than Tiamat, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, just that nuke thing is just unreal. You know, it can level anything. So, okay, Jeb, did you have anything of significance?
Actually, believe it or not, no. I didn't level a whole lot. I didn't have a whole lot of time to play this time, so didn't level a whole lot. What do I get? Oh, did I tell you? I went to the lake cave and went to the second floor, used the Wing of Wyvern, nothing happened.
Okay,
so
well, that's interesting. Yeah.
That's the experiment there. Draw the
write
the paper.
So yeah, I don't need to carry 2, I guess, but
I need to carry 2.
Well,
you can get out of an above ground thing.
Well, I was gonna say because you know the
but then you get outside, so it doesn't matter. I mean, but
right.
then, same argument that you know if you don't have the MP. You can do the math how you want. No, I didn't level up a whole lot. I am 15, 13, 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Word. That's funny. I love that because my ratio is 14, 11, 5. The idea that you can be, you know, I just love that it can be different. That your
princess is higher than mine.
Yeah.
Mine's
princess
7.
Princess is higher, but Prince of Maidenhall is lower.
Right.
14, 11, 5. So yeah, I just love that you can have those different experiences. You know, because obviously you can make those. You can put in work before you get her. So it's just, really cool. And also they can die, which changes that shit as well. So yeah, just really, really cool that it just having these 3 characters changes the potential game experience so much. And that is really fun. We were still getting our feet under us on the first episode and kind of how we're going to do format-wise with this and whether or not we were going to use a strategy guide. So we did not go through what we have decided to include moving forward in the Dragon Warrior 2 strategy guide. And this said strategy guide is named The Unveiled Secrets of Dragon Warrior 2. That's an interesting title choice for sure. There's some effort there. It's not just, double Dragon Warrior 2 strategy guide, which is what they could have went with, so there's some effort there. And the cover is the game box art set on a black border. There's red banners diagonal across the upper left and lower right corners. That Unveiled Secrets of text is on the one on the top left. That's really the only difference between that and the box cover. The inside cover of the mag, even before we get to a TOC, is a message from an old man calling himself Don Mahone. And this is interesting to me that this, I don't know, it's not how these usually work. There's
like narration from like a point of view.
Well, that, and then also just there's tips before where we even know the context for the tips we're being given, is kind of what I'm thinking here. Anyways,
if you've never played this game, like you're already experiencing some shit that you have no idea about.
Right. What were you saying, Jay?
No, it's almost like they assume that, like, you've played the first one, so you kind of know what medical herbs and kind of those things are. That's the way I took it. It's kind of just like giving you a heads up. Like, all right, you probably experienced the first game, so here's some tips to kind of get you on the way.
And or you got this book because you were stuck. You know what I mean? You've already played the game some, and you're like, okay, now I'm gonna make mom get me this.
Yeah, I know what an herb is. I can't fucking figure it out still.
Yeah, and I was unable to, or not unable to, but I wouldn't even have known where to look. But like, where were these? Where were these for sale? How did you acquire these? Maybe does the manual have an ad? Maybe you can order it. Maybe that's one way. Maybe eventually they would be in a manual and not in the scan we're using, whatever the case. So maybe there's probably some mail order action going on to some degree or another. But you also have to assume that they were, to some degree or another, not in Oberlin, Ohio. Unfortunately, there's not going to be any stores, I think, where that's the case. But, fucking somewhere, game stores, wherever fucking Game Pros would be sold, wherever game magazines would be that we also didn't get to go to. I guess some of those, like, the place where I got Mad Magazine, that place on, 113 or something, across from the Trailer Park Jab, had like a really big magazine selection. Drug marts would have that sometimes, maybe in those kind of places perhaps. But either way, that it could be somewhere where, like, a child could see it a bunch of times, want it, not be able to convince their mom, or not think it important enough to go through the effort of prioritizing it over the issue of Mad Magazine they wanted, or whatever it would be, and then to get to a point in the game where they're like, I am fucking stuck, I need that book.
Mom, next time you either wasted $50 on this game, or you can spend $6 more and get me this goddamn thing.
Yeah, or I'm going to be annoying as fuck for the next 6 weeks. It's up to you.
You want to go to Tyrone's and drink, or do you want me bothering you all the time?
Yeah, make your fucking choice. Anyways, Jab, would you please read to us Don Mahone's guidance here?
Do my
Table
best.
setting guidance.
Welcome to the world of Dragon Warrior 2. My name is Don Mahone. I will be a valuable aid to you as you progress in this game. Before leaving on your journey, may I offer some inside hints. First, always carry some medical herbs with you. If your character is defeated during play, you will lose half your gold pieces. To avoid this, use the medical herb to restore your HPs. It just says HPS, which is...
Yeah, HPs, yeah.
Yeah, it could be health points, hit points, I guess. Hit points, come on.
Yeah.
How many fucking... Anyways. Decisions on where and when to use the herb are very important. Second, upon raising your experience level, it is important to move out and explore new lands. Also, remember to keep your party equipped with the best armor and weapons possible. Below is an example of armor and weapons your party should have equipped by the time you reach Landport.
I find this list insane. That this is
like, you sent this and I opened it up today before the show, and I was kind of blown away that they just give it away.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even it's not to me that like what the things are.
No.
Yeah, it's just the fact that this list that
they compile the optimal
right for this, and it's such like a specific. They tell you by the time you reach Leonport. So, like, it's like this very specific point in the game. And it's not, is that the midpoint? What is the page count?
No, there's no fucking way it's the midpoint.
It's page 12. It's page 12 in a 30-page book. So, it's, I guess, close to the midpoint.
I think you also do some doubling back in this game. So, yeah.
True enough. Yeah, that's true. It's 30 pages because it's just POIs, which is, I guess, maybe we'll specify in a moment.
Yeah, it's actually not explaining the step by step. It's just giving you all the locations.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's similar to the Final Fantasy 1 to some degree or another, but the Final Fantasy guide spends more time laying it out. It has those charts at the end of the chapters that are kind of like, if you have doubling back, that's in there. Like, yeah, I mean, we haven't went all the way through yet, and I'm honestly not looking ahead, so maybe I don't think any of that is in here. I guess there's these places where you can use the key thing at the end that's kind of more like that. But yeah, to me, it comes across as just a linear, first time you get to it, POI list, So yeah, anyways, that list is very interesting to me, but
should I do the list?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Prince of Maidenhall, it says for your weapon should be the broadsword, armor should be full plate armor, shield should be the steel shield, and helmet, iron helmet. I don't have the iron helmet yet.
Yeah, neither do I. That's the one thing I don't have. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't have. Yeah.
I found it. I'm sorry.
Sorry, go on. No,
I was just going to say I found it later and then realized, wait a minute, I can wear something else, and it was like, oh, sweet.
I mean, what's funny? That's a good point. Actually, when I saw this, I was like, oh, I didn't know you could have a helmet.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot helmets that were in the game, right? Yeah.
Prince of Canuck, weapon, iron spear, armor, chainmail, shield, leather shield. We've all got that. And Princess of Moonbrook, wizard's wand, and clothes of hide. It's clothes of hiding, but the thing says clothes hiding.
Yeah, and that's I looked at this when I opened this up after I got to our stopping point for this episode, and I was like, I looked at the Princess of Moonbrook, and all I have for her is a fucking bamboo stick and regular clothes. Right. So I looked at this like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get those things this soon. I was like genuinely excited. Okay, well, yeah, that's the inside cover, and then from there we move into the TOC, and this shows Leonport as ESPN on page 12, so that equipment reco is just past where we're at in the game. And yeah, like I mentioned, I'm missing all the shit for PETA. Todd still needs the metal helmet, or the iron helmet, rather. After the TOC, we get right into the POI by POI format, and we start with Maidenhall Castle. They call each stop a route, and in that title bar, they put the level they recommend each are being at or reaching before or while you're at around this location. And, it's a generality, of course, but it is a cool inclusion, I think, just to give you an idea of, it's almost furthering of what Don Mahone was saying. Like, yes, adventure out,
but you'll probably want to follow these guidelines.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, they're like hedging the frustration that a player might have with that, which is it's ad nauseum. That's their biggest concern about these games. Even at this point, we're a little further in, and clearly we have demonstrated some value with this genre with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is just hitting though, so that's maybe not applicable. And the Dragon Warrior 1 did okay, but they were giving those carts away at one point, so they didn't crush it. So they were still a little worried about the startup cost of playing this kind of game at the time, So they're certainly conscious of that in all the decisions they're making with marketing and shit.
Yeah, because I mean, since we're doing this thing on like old video games, it's like, it's 2023 when we're listening to this and recording and doing these things. Like, video games were new.
As fuck. Yeah,
like, no one had done this before. There was no frame of reference to draw on previously where you're like, oh, and this other RPG I played, like, this literally might be your first one.
Right. Yep. Very, very possible. Yeah, and that's crazy, too, to think. I mean, well, you have it now, too, but, like, I don't know. It's so much harder for a child in 1990 to look at this, and you don't even think of it as a franchise yet. It's just two games, Dragon Warrior and Dragon Warrior 2. But like, it's so much harder for a kid in 1990 to be able to look at it from macro perspective, go, oh, these games happen in a joint story world, and it's like a linear progression of a fucking story, and like I should play the first one first and not the second, and I have the money to make that happen. Like, there's just so many impediments to experiencing this in a way that would prep you for all the things that you're going to encounter in this that should be familiar if you played the first one. Like, it's just, yeah, it is so much more distinctly possible and likely even, I would say, that a player in 1990 is playing Dragon Warrior 2 and doesn't even know Dragon Warrior 1 exists, let alone has played it all the way through to completion and has the foundation with which to be experiencing it from a completely knowledgeable standpoint. That's a really important distinction to make for sure.
Yeah, and the way that you would acquire games at that age is like, oh, that game looks cool.
So much
like,
more
the cover
random.
looks cool.
Yeah, so much more
it's just
random.
like
or not even, or you're not even involved in the process. The game just shows up in your Easter basket.
boom, done.
You know, which do you recall asking for it? I'm sure I
forgot that I got it in my Easter basket until you told us the last episode. So
right, yeah.
I don't know. Now that you say that, I remember getting Echo the Dolphin for Easter, which is a fucking...
Oh, my gosh.
Good God, that game is fucking good.
Oh, yeah, Jay, we're going to play that.
What?
So
there's zero chance I'm ever playing that game. Spoiler alert.
Echo the Dolphin?
Zero chance.
Why?
It's so hard, but it's so good.
I'm so uninterested in a golfing... I'm so uninterested in a dolphin game. And... growing up, to me, that was just like a joke. Like, I'm not an animal person. Animal video games, absolutely not. Like, it is a Genesis cart, right? Like, no, thanks. Pass.
My jaw is literally dropped.
Hard pass.
We'll get there.
Hard pass.
We'll talk about it later.
I can't believe somebody would choose to be so wrong.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's good. That's probably... I want to say late 91, early 92 maybe that those showed up. So we got a ways to go, but
I can give you 15 different games better than that at that time that's out.
No,
like,
you can't name 15 games better than that in general. So.
It's
really good, dude.
We're done here, sir.
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah, they're really good. The startup, it's there is. I mean, I think it's so funny how correlated this is. Kind of wild. We talked about how the first time I played this, or the last time I played this, like a half decade ago, I had the save state, yada yada yada. Around the same time, I was just on a kick of trying to revisit these things and beat these games. The podcast did not exist yet, so I wasn't using the podcast as a framework with which to achieve these goals. So I was just randomly doing them in my spare time. Echo the Dolphin was another one I was playing at the same time. I still have because I was just taking pictures with my phone of the codes because you get a password at the end of each stage in Echo. I was taking pictures. I still have the picture. I was playing Echo at the same time. I still have the picture in my save state or my camera roll of that last stage that I played in probably the back third of the game, and it's the one where you gotta, I mean, I don't know if they'll be differentiated enough, but there's all these fucking jellyfish in these subterranean caverns, and it's so fucking hard. It's such a hard level, and I was never able to beat it. And I still have the code, though, the password, in my fucking phone, because I was playing on OG hardware. That's when I first got my Genesis. So, yeah, I've...
great game.
Great game, but super hard. Anyways, yeah. They call each stop a route, and in that title bar, I started to mention that, and there's an illustrated but to tile scale map of the castle with each POI within labeled, and they list out the cost of the inn and what the item store sells here. They do not list prices, though, of the items, so it's a little...
I'm going to do it all for you.
Yeah, it's a good thing that we're doing the podcast here so you can get this information.
What would you do without us?
Yeah, right. And then there's a screenshot of the King's Throne Room, captioned with a note about being able to save your game there. And lastly, there's a paragraph at the bottom with a tips watermark below it, and I suppose it makes sense to read each of these as we go. So, Jay, would you please do the honors for the Maidenhall Castle tips?
Are you ready to begin your quest to defeat Hargon? Your traveling companions, spoken of by the king, are descendants of the great Erdrick. Finding the Prince of Cannock and the Princess of Moonbrook will not be easy, but with your courage... To the west of Maidenhall lies Leftwind. But before leaving on your journey, remember to equip yourself with the copper sword given to you by the king. Use the equip command. You are already equipped with the leather armor.
I love that there's that whole... It's just a table setting blurb, and they use the whole thing as a vessel by which to reiterate what has already been reiterated so heavily in the game. So there's just must have been, again, there just must have been so many dumb kids that started this game and just didn't do that.
They didn't do this.
Play testing or whatever. It just got to be.
Well, I mean, you think about it from a kid's standpoint. You plug in the game, I want to play it.
Right.
I'm like,
perfectly,
I gotta fight.
Perfectly sensible, yeah, perfectly sensible. But it's just so hilarious.
You mean I have to pick up the sword? You mean I gotta put on armor?
Actually, I was playing last night, and I can't remember what I was doing. The fuck was I doing? I can't remember why I was in this command, but I went to the equip command, and it turned out that the Prince of Maidenhall, I had not equipped his steel shield. He was just hanging on to it.
Oh wow!
Right? Yeah, easy to do. No baby hand-holding in this game. Route 2 on page 4 is Leftwind, and that is next. And they have the layout map again, though there's no screenshots from town. The shops and what they sell are again listed, But again, yeah, there's no prices, so that's, I don't know, it's weird to me that that's omitted. And they have one-time explanations of the inn and House of Healing here in this particular route as well. For the inn, they describe it as one night's lodging at an inn will cost you ... gold pieces. The cost for your lodging depends on the number in your traveling party. And then the House of Healing says, at the House of Healing, you have the chance to select one of the following remedies: detoxicate, uncurse, or revive. This will allow you to restore your character to good health, but there will be a charge. As you know, money talks. And yeah, I don't know, that's great.
World breaking, get out of here.
Yeah, it's fucking great. So the tips reads in this for this one: begin your search for the prince to the north of Leftwyn. To find the princess, you must pass through the monolith west of Leftwyn. But first, focus your energies on finding the prince. You need not fear for the princess. The two of you will be able to rescue her. Don't forget to carry an antidote with you. And that's disjointed in half. It's like all this stuff, and then like, oh, hey, carry an antidote also, you know.
By the way.
It's such a disjointed thing.
Yeah, it's bad writing because they do that thing where you just use the same word over and over again.
Yeah,
princess, princess.
Yeah, a lot of redundancy too. Yeah. Route 3, Cannock Castle, comes after that. Level 4 is the recommendation for coming to or arriving here. And Don Mahone is back telling us don't delay. And for the tips, Jab, please read.
Don't delay. You just missed the Prince of Cannock. He left word that he's traveling to the Spring of Bravery. After finding the prince, keep a keen eye out for the silver key. This key will be very helpful in talking with those who may be locked up.
Routes 4 to 9 are packed. They changed the format up a little bit here. Routes 4 to 9 are all packed onto one page on the next page, page 6. And Route 4 is titled real big up top with the Spring of Bravery, and the level reco for that is 7. They still are not pointing out whether it's just for the main character or both you and the POC, but I'm going to say it has to be just your main character because 7 would have, or having the POC at 7 here would have Todd like way OP for the Spring of Bravery, you know. And I'm sure they're not as conservative as I am. There's no maps or anything for this of the sort for the spring, just a screenshot of the spring tender and your dialogue with him. So that's an important distinction between this and some of the previous strategy guides we've had too, is that, you know, they don't lay it all out here. I mean, you do have the pack-in map has most of the maps in the game, so that it would make it redundant and unnecessary, and this is from the original publisher, Enix, so, you know, they probably viewed it as companion pieces, I guess, but it's worth mentioning that shit's not in here. And then routes 5, 6, and 7 are the runaround looking for the POC, Maidenhall to Cannock to Leftwyn. And it's worth pointing out that the strategy guide gods do not think that Jay's belittling of Todd and Jab's search trajectories were warranted. They think that you should go in the order that we went in. And that you were off.
Fascinating.
Jay. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Route 8 has a screenshot of the monolith, but they title it Gwaelin's Cave, and I haven't heard that phrase a single time in the gameplay, but okay. Route 9 is the monolith south of Maidenhall with one of the estranged brothers, and then we have a very small tip section, and Jab, could you please read this?
Sure can. The prince you are searching for is said to have been to Maidenhall. You would be wise to raise your level and gain more gold pieces before journeying to Maidenhall. A visit to the old man may restore the energy you need. Old man.
Route 10 is the last of our catch-up from the episode 1 of the quest and is the Lake Cave, level 9 reco, a level 9 is the reco for this, and it's just a screenshot of the chest the key is in and a tips blurb. Jay, go ahead and take this one.
On your journey to Moonbrook, you happened by Gwaelin's Cave. Because of new information received here, you have changed your destination point. The monolith south of Maidenhall will lead you to the Lake Cave. Look very closely for the silver key.
And they follow that up with a yellow use the silver key box before moving to the next route. And that lays out our silver key tour stops. So now we move into the portion of the guide applicable to the POIs discussed in this episode. And we start there with Route 11, Gwaelin's Cave. And it's just a tips blurb for this. I'll read that. It says, beware of the monster in Gwaelin's Cave. Of the monster in Gwaelin's Cave. Not monsters. After passing through the cave, a new continent will spread before you. In your exploring, you will discover new monsters and places of refuge. Prepare yourself with the strongest armor you can, even though you'll be wasting money on the chain sickle if you fucking do buy it here. Route 12 is a whole page on Hamlin, and they're keeping the level reco at 9 here. They explain that the lodging at the inn is more expensive because you have journeyed far from Maidenhall, and that is not how economics works, guys. The fact that, would only be applicable if the innkeeper had to also journey from Maidenhall to set this operation up at my request. That would be the only time that my having traversed from there would be applicable to his...
that's not how Airbnb works.
His cost basis.
You're missing the point. He's just, when you go to check in and get a room, he's like, where are you coming from? All right, he's calculated off the distance based.
We were
like,
saying
what?
that the people from Maidenhall might not like people from, or the people from Hamlin.
Also that, yeah.
People from Maidenhall.
Could literally be bias in the form of economic exploitation. Sure. You're
the Prince of Maidenhall? I know you got some money. It's definitely
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
Prince. Extra gold.
Yeah. So demand plus opportunity. So they also have a unique note for the item shop. It says it would be wise to carry Wing of the Wyvern with you, and there's no arguments from me about that. Jab, please hit the tips section for Leftwin. Or sorry, Hamlin.
Hints you may have collected along the way say the third member of your party may be in Moonbrook. One of the king's trusted foot soldiers said the princess may be in danger. There's no time to waste. You must raise your levels as quickly as possible and equip yourselves with the weapons that will help you win the upcoming battles. Don't forget to search for the Cloak of Wind. The Tower of Wind may be a good place to begin.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. Okay. Moonbrook Castle is next to Route 13, gets a whole page, and the level reco for this bumps to 10. They call it the Ruins of Moonbrook and point out that although this appears to be fire, it really is a soul of the dead. You may want to talk to it. Tips by Jay.
The information you've gathered on the princess tells you her enemies transformed her into a dog. Keep your eyes peeled for a cute little dog. You will need to help in restoring the princess. Find the small pond from which you can see the 4 bridges, and there you will discover the help you need. Be sure to search for the dog.
Yeah, calling it a pond is not exactly accurate.
Like, what do you mean? Like, if I saw that and it was a pond, I'd be very frustrated. I'd be scouring the waters.
Like I said, I used to fish in ponds around here when I was younger, and actually, come to think of it, I wouldn't want to be in them either.
They reiterate over here on the next page too. They call it a pond, so they're really set on that terminology for it. They show a screenshot of the area too over there, and it's
it's a dead giveaway then. Not like it's hard to find, but
right. He is standing on the wrong spot in the marsh though, and you have to ask yourself, is that like a deliberate?
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah, like
he's looking at it. He's looking at it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep. Level 11 is the reco for that Mirror Ra hunt. And then Route 15 is the search for the Princess of Moonbrook and Hamlin. Is just a screenshot of the dog and the blurb. And it says, the little dog in Moonbrook would love to see its reflection in the Mirror of Ra. So they pulled a King of Maidenhall here and botched the town name. They say,
oh my God, they did.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. That blew right past me.
Yep. Route 16 is a very small bit of attention paid to the Tower of Wind. I think an incredibly disproportionate amount, in fact.
Yeah, for how fucking difficult, how the magnitude of the importance of the Tower of Wind. It's just like this very brief thing.
Yep. And I think that's establishing a trend. They did the same thing with, they're spending a lot more time on the friendly POIs than they are on the dungeons and shit, so that's interesting because that's obviously kind of backwards for the intent or normal purpose of a strategy guide, like just to help you do the hard parts.
Maybe they figure you can figure out the fighting part, so maybe you're skipping through kind of some of the story building and like, you know what I mean, friendly stuff that you might probably like, all right, let me get back to the fighting. You never know, because you never know what kind of kid is picking up this game.
Sure.
They're not 20-year RPG enthusiasts.
Sure. I mean, it's if you get them just into the right spot, they should be able to take it from there. If they don't know what the fuck they're doing, oh my God.
That's an interesting way to look at it, is to say that, their concern is not you having a hard time in the parts that are supposed to be hard. Their concern is you not, or having a hard time because you missed a plot point or a piece of direction or whatever it might be.
And as you can see, they can't even get the fucking town names right in the strategy guide or the game. So
clearly that's not important.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a struggle in of itself for very real reasons. So yeah, the level 12 is the reco for the Tower of Wind, and a screenshot of the room with the cloak and a tips blurb is all she wrote. And that says there was no cloak of wind in the treasure chest you found at the top of the tower. Maybe you should search for another treasure chest hidden in a back room on the second floor. It may be difficult to reach. After entering the fifth floor, look for a downward staircase. At last, the cloak of wind. That is the extent of our strategy guide bullshit. Where do you think we're heading next, Jay? Or yeah, if you've played ahead, where did you head next?
Definitely west. At this point, I've grinded up. I've grinded exclusively in this whole Moonbrook Peninsula. So it's kind of like, all right, I've got PETA and Numo. We're a 3-party team. We're feeling powerful now. It's time to cross back over and see if that'll take me up to Alfgard or what's up there,
Sound like realistic goals to lay out before us. Let's talk status updates. Jay, where did you land? You tilts your ratio, I think, but where we'll do our specific status updates with all the numbers for. We'll keep that to the main.
I think I'm still 15, 13, 7 at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
So what are the Gentle Ma's statistics?
I believe Gentle Ma here, strength 58, agility 47, hit points 70, maximum H.
What did you say the level was? Sorry.
15.
15, okay. So that's a big jump on these numbers from 14 to 15 because that's where I'm at 14. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, maybe this is 16 here.
I think it is because I'm at level 15 and my numbers are
Yep,
different.
you're right. Nope, I'm at 16, 15, 9. Yeah, 16, okay. 15, 9. Yeah.
Copy.
So with that being level 16, Gentleman is strength 58, agility 47, maximum HP 70, no magic obviously, 93 attack power, 58 defense power, and 17.7k thousand XP. And
the Jab, your hypothesis about the HP jumps being so small and that changing has not materialized. No. It's so gradual, the HP increases with him.
I mean, it's even the Princess of Moonbrook has like comparatively a decent amount of hit points. Like your tank's not much of a tank sometimes, except for, the defense power is what helps him, but like his hit points aren't all that high.
Yep. Yeah, it's not scaling like I expected it to at all.
Yeah.
Where is Jab at level 15? Just for the formalities.
15, 13, 4. And Jab, as I said, 15. Strength, 55. Agility, 41. Hit points, 68. Attack power, 85. Defense power, 55. 14,832 experience points currently. Got 4,724 gold.
So maybe that helmet is the extra 3 defense power that I have over you.
Yeah, almost certainly, in fact.
Yeah, and the agility is a 10-point jump from 14 to 16 too. That's got to include the helmet and some.
Well, I'm 15, so I think Jay, you said your agility is 47.
Yep.
So I'm expecting a 6-point jump at the next one.
Yeah, that's a lot. So there's got to be some defensive capability.
Yeah.
Built into that. Well, I don't know, because that's the whole point.
I don't have the helmet, so
yeah,
right. But that's the whole point of the attack power defense power modifier, though, is that is factoring the armor. So,
well, the agility might just be like who goes first and the ability to dodge a blow. Right. Defense power is equipment once you're hit.
Well, yeah, it's definitely an initiative roll factor for sure, as well as running, I believe. But
running.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that a helmet would affect that, but
we should try and control for, and typically I do these things, so I'll probably end up doing it. Running with, because you don't have to run with the first character, you can run with any character. You could attack with the Prince of Maidenhall and the Prince of Canuck, and then run with PETA, we
haven't mentioned that. That is that's a big difference for sure.
Yeah, so I wonder if it makes it's got to make a difference, right? I mean, running's based off something.
Right. Hopefully, it's actually the character, not the character before you in the party order.
Right, yeah, in Final Fantasy doesn't actually make a difference.
Right. Well, it makes a difference. Just
you have to all fucked up.
Yeah, you have to think of it differently. Okay, well, Todd is at level 14. His strength 53, agility 37, HP 65, 0 magic points, attack power 83, defensive power 53, XP 12,392. So that's where we're at. And we will, be probably journeying west for the next side quest episode, whenever it may occur. And you can subscribe to the pod on whatever platform provided, whatever dumbest company that serves up your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on whatever platform you do listen to it. If you enjoy our nonsense, the website is nyhentertainment.com/ISOHpod. Email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the pod and banter with us on the Facebook page, Instagram, subreddit, talk shit to us about our gameplay videos on the YouTube. Links to all that nonsense will be in the show notes. We don't have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to things podcasters tell you to and would like to do so at our direction, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities, and that's cool as fuck. They did a lot of cool shit for the holidays. I saw on their socials. So check that out for some good feel-good stories and give if you can. AbleGamers.org is where you can find them. T-shirts on the website. They're dope. I'm wearing one right now. My SideQuest official release. And proceeds on those after pod expenses go to Able Gamers. Jab, what are your socials so people can reach out to you and discuss your quest through Dragon Warrior 2?
Yeah, it's really important to me. And I had a funny joke for this and I forgot what it was, so I don't have socials. I hate them.
Jay, what about yours?
Gentleman JB without the second E is my gamer tag and pretty much where you can find me where I'm active.
Is there any hope of you changing your entire digital life to Gentle Ma?
No.
That end does a lot of work at the end of that.
Yeah. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Josh Folan and on Instagram at my shift key is broke, as well as my Oculus tag. And if you want to roll in some Demio, Jab, when are you going to download Demio?
I have a fucking
shut the fuck up
computer here that I play games on, dude. I'm not buying another system.
Oh. I'm not telling you to buy another system. You can get it on Steam, you fuckface.
What the
but
fuck?
also, it's a fucking it's a board game. It's a fucking multiplayer board. It's incredible. It's so up your alley. It's insane. And we could play the three of us at a time together, and it's fucking incredible. It's fucking
as much as you talk about spells and all this kind of stuff, Jab. Like you would love it.
It's mind blowing.
Don't talk to me, Jay. You don't want to play Echo the Dolphin, all right? I'm not okay right now.
Hey, two different things. Okay,
I'm
wizards,
not okay.
cool. Dolphins are for
Dolphins
teenage
are
girls.
cool. What are you talking about?
Yeah, on Steam it's probably like, I don't know how much it is. It's probably $15 or $20. It's so fucking good, and you're just a complete twat.
If I get that, I am going. That's time away from planning a D&D campaign. I got a semester coming up.
I feel like this would suck you away from D&D.
So I got other people that want to play games with me. Suck my fucking dick, Jab.
I do.
Suck my fucking dick.
Well, you can. Who wants to play games?
You can invite them to play this. They'll enjoy it too. It's fucking incredible.
Look, I was thinking. I'm willing to get a social, but here's what I got to do. I got to throw this in here. I'm willing to get a social, but what it has to be is I want P.O. Box 31 at the Oberlin post office. And then people could write me a letter and send it to that. That's what I want.
What you need to do is make socials where that's your username. And that's fucking incredible. That is an incredible...
That's a really good idea.
That is an incredible Instagram handle. MPO Box 0031. It's so available. It's insane. And it's so fucking good.
Well, I think what's her name has it currently. So I gotta talk to her anyways. I'm gonna try and acquire this.
Who's what's her phone? What are you talking about?
Fucking your dad's wife.
Oh,
So,
no, she doesn't have the PO box, does she? No, the
PO
PO box
canceled. Why would that? She needs anything that's coming in for fucking will and death shit. She needs that.
She probably, like a sane person, has moved her mail to the house because she's not gonna go there. She's probably sane enough to just want to walk out to the mailbox and not to the fucking post office in OB.
I'll tell you what. I'll go to the post office and talk to him.
That sounds like so much work going to the post office.
Oh, Jay,
it's insane. It's an insane thing to do. The reasoning, I mean, he did have a slightly valid point in that every time he put him in, we did actually. You know what? I want to completely step back from this and stop ridiculing him for it, because this is based in actual real world evidence. We had a mailbox when I was little. I don't think I ever told you this, Jeff. Did you know that we had a mailbox?
We ended up with a mailbox while I was like a little bit older, and I understand why he did it.
Yes, people would come around that curb and hit the mailbox all the fucking time. He had to replace the mailbox numerous times. Really? Yes, because we lived on this fucking turn, Jay. That was it was a real deal, dude. I mean, I remember I have a distinct memory of someone fucking flipping their car and it being in our front yard, like on its
people
fucking...
crash into our yard twice a year.
Yeah,
easy.
Yes, because it's like a 50. It's the dumbest engineering decision I've ever seen. If you think about it,
it's unbelievable.
It's right where the 55 mile an hour zone starts. There's maybe a quarter of a mile between it going from 35
out of the town.
Yes, out of Oberlin into a rural state highway, 48122, and the 55 mile an hour zone. So, if someone doesn't have it memorized by heart, they start speeding up. And God only knows how many safety measures they employed, reflectors and whatever that they might have installed to try to change this over the years. I don't remember the entire fucking workflow of it, but I'm sure they put a bunch of them up. But they're not prominent enough for a drunk person or someone not paying close attention. And if you're just hammering on the fucking, you can't take that turn at 55. You got to slow the fuck down. And someone who doing it at 75, which is what probably a lot of people would do the second they leave town, you're ended up in this person's yard. And they ended up in our yard all the fucking time.
And straight up, the other issue that we had, not only people crashing into it, but snowplows would fucking destroy it literally every year. So it actually did make some sense.
Yep, made a ton of sense for sure.
He didn't do a lot that made sense, but that actually checks out.
Yep. He conducted proper experimentation before arriving at a decision. And yes, that was a rarity for him, but in that case was a justified and well-founded choice.
I'm gonna try and acquire.
But funny and a huge pain in the ass to have to go to a fucking P.O. box to get all your mail. It's insane. Yeah.
That's what he gets for not living in town. He can listen to fucking music loud and get blacked out drunk with his friends and ride motorcycles, but
no mailbox.
No mailbox. Sorry, buddy. You're gonna have to pay for that.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing about your Instagram acquisition at MPO Box 0031 on the next episode of the Dragon Warrior 2 side quest. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.